This is from the Red Cross, okay? Continuous combat function requires lasting integration into an organized armed group acting as the armed forces of a non-state party to an armed conflict. Sounds like Hezbollah to me.
The excerpt you're reading is about an interpretation of the law. It's not the law itself.
It's whose interpretation is it?
The Red Cross.
Okay, so is the Red Cross's job to justify war crimes?
I didn't say it was their job, but
okay, so I'm just going to keep reading so we can listen to the people who know what they're talking about. You're such a lying man, holy or you're just sloppy, I don't know. Oh, so you disagree? So you piece of you genocide air. You're literally doubting that you won't even commit to agreeing with the 99 doctors and their professional opinion?
I never said I doubted them.
Oh, so you agree with them?
I'm not gonna...
So I'm asking you again, because I'm not going to stop asking you this, you f***ing worm.
Oh,
do you agree with them?
I'm clearly being the worm here.
Yes,
you're
because you're the one who can't answer questions. So Hutch debated a guy called Disinformation Tracker, who is a disinformation spammer who hates me. Okay, why does Hutch get all the debates? What the? Why am I so noxious to these people? Why did they all talk to Hutch but not me?
Hello?
Cowards.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Is this him?
Okay, so I don't consider the video of the Lebanon, the Israeli pager.
I don't care if you consider it one thing or another. If you show bloodied bodies, it's TOS.
No, okay, wait. This is what I keep trying to explain, and you keep ignoring it.
I'm not ignoring it. I saw your clip. I saw what you posted. You were such a slime bag.
Wait, just listen.
No, I want you to tell me right now. Like, why would you accuse me of not wanting to look at Palestine?
Is this after I spoke to? Is this after I spoke to Hutch about being more firm? Oh no! This is what I would do. Yes, let's go! Baldy rage.
Palestinian kids that are injured. Why would I do that?
Okay, if you didn't know this, then I will accept that as an answer, okay? I will accept that as an answer, but let me tell you.
This person's actually like a manipulative little... They were doing this in my Twitter replies as well. Like, they're very slimy. Allow me to use his maimed face so I can justify allowing Hezbollah to operate with total impunity so long as they keep a few civilians nearby when they operate, which is basically always. I'm sorry, if you oppose the pager attack on the grounds of like the results, you're a retard. I'm sorry. If you're like a legal enthusiast and you want to get into what is a booby trap or what is a quote unquote other device as per the convention on certain conventional weapons, that's fine. Okay, great. I respect you doing that. It's actually a complicated debate as far as I know. I've read a lot of disputing opinions on that. But I'm sorry, if you think this operation that literally like, I think 33 out of like the 37 odd people who were killed, something crazy like that, were militants. The fact that like 1,500 out of the 3,000 injured were militants who were permanently injured, not even to mention the people who were temporarily injured, which was quite a lot of them as well, including the high-profile guy who went to hospital and got released like 3 days later because of his pager exploding. If you're going to ignore the fact that like the IRGC literally admitted that these pagers were for Hezbollah operations, okay? And you're still offended by this and you think it was like a terror attack. Bro, that's because you want Hezbollah to win. That's it. You do not give a...
Okay, so the terror attack in Lebanon, you condemn it?
That attack, I think, is... I don't know. What do you think would have been better? Do you think it would have been better to, like, bomb buildings?
Okay, so
instead of that attack,
do you think it's better to bomb a daycare or to nuke the daycare?
What?
The question is pointless. It doesn't matter.
These guys literally just think Hezbollah are a bunch of bumbling buffoons, like running into rakes in Lebanon, and like because they all have disabilities, like 12 IQ, running around the fields of South Lebanon. Israel's just like get them, like, yeah, get these. Bro, they were fighting. I thought Hezbollah were the jewel of the Axis. I thought the whole thing was that Hezbollah would smoke Israel if they even tried to take them out. Aren't these the guys that defeated, quote-unquote, Israel in 2006? But suddenly, now it's tantamount to bombing a daycare. What? Targeting the communications devices of the operatives, you idiot. God, this guy's so stupid.
I would say bombing a daycare would be better than nuking one?
But that has nothing to do with the definition of terrorism. That's my point. It's pointless. Okay, if
What's,
you went out
what's the
and you
definition of
stabbed,
terror? What's the definition of
stabbed a
terrorism?
woman and
What's the
her
definition?
child,
Hold on.
The
What's the
definition of
definition?
terrorism is when the Jews do it. That's what it is.
What is the definition of terrorism? What is the definition of terrorism?
targeting, I believe, civilians outside of the country.
No one agrees with this, you miserable piece of shit. The IRGC doesn't agree with this. Hezbollah doesn't agree with this. And obviously, the IDF doesn't agree with it. No one agrees with this. No one thinks that the pager attack targeted civilians. The IRGC said that those pagers were exclusively for Hezbollah operatives. Nasrallah said that the attack had a damning effect on Hezbollah. Like, it was a crushing blow. He was literally like almost in tears announcing what had happened. Hezbollah put the dead on their website with like pictures of them in combat uniforms. Targeting civilians. Actually, page yourself. Jesus Christ. Ugh! This is a level 36. Can I handle this? Is this kosher?
Context of a war.
How does the
and
pager
try to
attack
instill
qualify as a
fear
terrorism?
and to instill fear in the civilian population, oftentimes to get them to rise up against your political enemy.
How does
So
the
is
how
a
does the
terror
pager
attack-
attack count as a terror attack then? Were they just randomly
So
handing out
Lebanon-
pagers in Lebanon?
Firstly, you can't control who ends up with the pagers, but secondly,
No, you can't. But
How?
they-
Again, it's the retard defense. Really? So they know that Hezbollah are getting these pagers to distribute amongst their militants. They're literally designed to be attractive to people who are trying to use it for military operations by saying it's sturdy, like long battery time. They make it like quite like much bigger than most pagers are. They know they're selling it to Hezbollah. They've got the intel on that. Like, oh, you have no idea. You have no idea where the pagers are going to go. Like, the Hezbollah are just going to take their military communication devices and just pass them around the civilian population like sweets. Like, just going to give them to their mates as a birthday present. Here, take my pager, the one that's going to be used at any point to activate me for a military operation.
there was a specific target there, you would agree, right?
Hutch.
I don't
None of
think
them were combatants.
I
They
don't
were
think
walking
that's
around
true.
the streets.
None of them were combatants. This guy's an absolute moron. None of them were combatants. Oh, God. None of them were combatants. Actually, fucking rope, man. These guys are delusional. They live in an alternate. They live in an alt reality.
Stores.
I don't think that's true, bro.
If none of them were combatants, why did Hezbollah say it struck a crushing blow to the movement? What were his exact words? Why did the IRGC say that? Where was his address? I can't remember how long the speech was.
On Tuesday, I want to describe very quickly because it's well known what's happened. Israeli enemy has actually targeted many of the pages. It has been exploded at the same time. The enemy has actually...
He said, here, look, he acknowledged that Hezbollah had suffered an unprecedented blow. Like, okay.
has crossed over all the red lines. It has not paid attention to anything,
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
not ethically, no humanitarian, nor legal or lawful. The explosions were happened in hospitals, inside hubs, in hospitals because some medics were carrying them, in pharmacies.
Again, the doctor in particular who went kind of viral for having a pager that blew up and killed him, literally was like buried with a Hezbollah flag over him, but okay.
Hospitals, in markets, in
I don't know why
shops.
people don't get this. It's like you can look at Hezbollah's own leaders and their own leadership structure. Like, yes, they're a non-state actor. That's just what they do. They're a militant group. That's what they do. They literally, like, their people are multitaskers. They're like battle ready at all times, but then they also do other like regular day jobs.
In houses, in cars, in the streets, where many civilians were there.
And also, you can even see the civilians who were standing nearby a lot of these pagers when they blew up, like nothing happened to them because they were designed to only hit the person who was holding them in their hands. Oh, this guy's coming around. Oh, no. This is a dangerous spot.
Combatant is you understand what a combatant?
You mean an
combatant
active
is?
combatant, or what do you mean?
No, combatant is combatant. Okay, so if you have some
This guy's not read about continuous combat function. Oh no.
sort of association with the IDF, let's say you served in the IDF, you're a reservist. you have
Reservists
some
are not the
connection,
same. Reservists are not the same as continuous combat function. Dumb.
or the Israeli government. We can add that in too. And you're walking around.
Reservists don't have pagers on them that are ready to pop off at any moment, and then they just run to the line to like fire a rocket or take up a gun. Reservists have a process where they have a clear, fine line between their civilian life and their military life.
The intention
plan's linked
was to
immediately.
push the Palestinians into the Sinai. Okay, that was the plan.
That
No, it
was
wasn't.
never meant to be a permanent solution. That was meant to evacuate civilians from a bloody conflict.
okay.
That was, but the Biden administration never proposed.
Their villages in the Palestinians who fled for their lives between 47 and 49. They didn't leave permanently. It wasn't meant to be permanently, but they were never allowed back.
It's valid to have
Every Palestinian
Listen,
knows.
it's valid.
Really?
to-
So they should be forced. So what? So should Gazans who want to stay be forced to stay? Because the evacuation corridor was not to force them out; it was to allow people who wanted to leave to leave. So he thinks they should be forced to stay because of the Nakba, right? They should be forced to stay. Okay.
Every Palestinian knows if you leave, you're not coming back. Okay? Everyone knows that.
Fucking toddler,
And the
man.
Egyptians know that too. That's why the Egyptians would not allow the Palestinians into the
He thinks the Egyptians did it out of concern for Palestinian rights. How fucking naive.
Let me ask you something. Do you think it was a good thing that humanitarian aid got into Gaza during that conflict?
It barely got in. It wasn't enough.
It's a separate discussion, and I agree with you. More aid should have gotten in. But do you think that the aid that went into the country during that conflict was essential for
500 trucks,
Palestinian
eh?
survival? For those people to survive?
Problem. There's
No,
a
don't dance
fundamental
around. Don't
problem
dance
with that
around the question. Please just ask the
There's a
question.
fundamental problem with the question, and the fundamental problem is the United States created the problem. You can't pat yourself on the back for insufficiently.
Whatever. We
resolving
can
the
unpack
problem
that.
you
We can unpack
created.
that. We can unpack that. Whatever. But I want to focus
The
on.
humanitarian crisis. No, they could've
Just answer the
ensured- they
question.
could've
Just
ended the
answer that
assault on
question.
Gaza.
Just answer that question.
It's
Why are
it's
you
an
evading,
absurd
eh?
question. It's like saying
It's a perfectly reasonable question.
Is
Hey.
it a good thing?
You don't want to answer the question because you know that it undermines your premise.
Is it a good
That's why
thing
you don't want to
every
answer
time
the question.
Germans, listen, every time the Germans gave the Jews in the concentration camps some bread to eat, were they being kind?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Answer that question.
Ooh.
Would you say that there is perhaps a slight difference between the Holocaust and what has happened in Gaza over the last year?
The Holocaust
The last year and a half.
taking place in Gaza right now.
Would you say that these two?
Ooh.
Would you say that these two things are maybe slightly different?
Oh, we doing some Holocaust
There's
downplaying?
a
Hell
Holocaust in
yeah.
Gaza taking place right now. I'm watching children being massacred by the hundreds every single day for a year and a half.
Would you say that there is a slight difference between the Holocaust and what's happening right now?
Hospital beds.
Do you not want to concede that point?
2,000-pound bombs on tents full of women and children.
Do you not want to concede the point here?
They take the patients and
Yeah,
the
so
doctors.
when you're done, buddy, when this guy is done tugging himself off to images of fucking mutilated civilians and thinking it makes him in a position where he can like morally fucking impugn everyone else who doesn't hold the exact same position as him, just maybe fucking stop to think about the fact that there is still, that unlike the Holocaust, there is still a active combatant fucking military in Gaza that is not willing to give up unless it's on terms that they think is satisfactory to them, which kind of didn't really happen in the Holocaust. It's not like the Holocaust happened and the Jewish fucking like military wing was like, listen, yeah, we need to stop the Holocaust, but only if you let us do this and this and this and this and this and this. And also we kind of just want to like invade Germany again and try to destroy it. Like these are not comparable. Fucking hell.
Doctors, they take them to torture camps and starve and beat
So
and
it's
rape and
1-to-1?
torture them to death.
So it's 1-to-1?
What
You're
am I
saying
supposed to call that?
so it's 1-to-1? You think what's happening over in Gaza over the last couple of years is one?
doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean it's not?
One means that
Well,
there's
what word would you like me to?
distinction whatsoever.
What word would you like me to use then?
Any distinction. 1-to-1 means if there's any distinction whatsoever, then you can't compare them. The point of
I'm
my
asking you
analysis
if you
to
think
say,
that these
if you are the
these
one
two
that-
events are in reality actually comparable. Or as horrible as what's happening in
One
Gaza right
genocide
now,
comparable to another, You know that clip of that girl who was giving the speech at a town hall or something, and she's like, "Do not compare other genocides to this one." That's what you sound like.
You don't think? I mean, how you don't think it's a worthwhile thing to explore? Because you made the claim. You're saying that basically what's happening in Gaza right now is the same thing as the Holocaust.
No, I said it is a Holocaust. A Holocaust is a mass killing.
Whoever came up with this wordplay tactic to just redefine the meaning of every single word that's relevant to conflict and war and atrocity and everything is fucking, it's genius. It's actually ingenious. It's such an effective way to just turn people into like fucking bumbling shitheads with so much like fucking iron conviction. It's so crazy. It was the Russians? Really? I don't... Okay. Man, I can't believe... I'm just thinking about all the shitty fucking quest zones and like little bits that I've got to do. Oh no. Oh god. It's like, you know that feeling when you've left home to go somewhere and then you're 10 minutes down the road and then you remember that you forgot your fucking phone. So you have to go back and get it. And it feels so long walking back. And then walking back again. Once you got your phone. Shit. It's okay. It's part of the fun. It's part of the lesson. This time, no one matters, okay? No lives matter. Don't expect that fucking random dipshit to behave himself in combat. Okay. Roach out. If you see any hint of a roach, if you smell a roach, you roach. Accordingly. I need to sell stuff. Yeah.
Usually by fire.
Can you just answer the question though? Like, do you think that it was a good thing that aid got into the country?
Do you think it was kind?
Why won't you answer that question? Why won't you answer that question? Why won't you answer that question? Why won't you answer that question?
Why won't you answer my question? Was it kind of the Germans?
You keep trying to deflect, bro.
That they were starving. Was it kind of them to give bread to the Jews they were starving?
I want you to answer that question. If you don't want to answer that question, we can cut this conversation off. I'm not going to let you do this thing.
Yeah, so just say no, because like it's a different situation. The Nazis were like, giving bread to the Jews, were just like keeping them alive until they figured out how they wanted to get rid of them, or to use them as forced laborers. So yeah, obviously that's not kind, because they could have just not done anything. So why won't you commit to the thing with Gaza?
Where you jump all over the place. I can't get you to answer questions. You just jump all over the place.
I wouldn't call it good. Obviously, okay, fine. You want me to spell it out for you? I would not call it good. You're the one starving them.
It's not good? Okay.
It's not good.
It would have been better if no aid got into the country?
A little bit of food to the people you're starving.
It would have been better if no aid got into the country? It would have been better if no aid got into the country?
This is the same thing as when you say the terror attack is not as bad as terror bombing, therefore it imbues some sort of good quality.
The difference between you and me,
I'd love
to know what his definition of terror.
Bombing the crap out of these people. You're the one.
It would have been starving them if you didn't allow any aid into the country. That would have been starving them.
Sprinkle some crumbs on them. You can't sprinkle some crumbs on them after you're blocking aid and killing them. You can't sprinkle crumbs on them and say, "Look how good I'm being to you. Look how good I'm being." It doesn't make sense. You want to talk about nuance? Let's talk about nuance. What about the blockade of the Red Sea? You show no nuance when it comes to the blockade of the Red Sea.
The Houthis, you mean?
Yes.
First of all, I mean, how'd that work out?
What do you mean, how did it work out?
What did it do?
It's fucking
What did it
shit.
accomplish?
It put pressure. It applied pressure on Israel. That was the point.
And?
The economic pressure.
And how did that work out?
How did the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising work out? How did the National Rebellion work out?
Imagine.
Your tendency to deflect to these like really bizarre analogs are just
because what you want to say is you didn't beat Israel, you little.
You didn't. It didn't do anything.
Shouldn't have tried.
It didn't do anything. Is the point?
I feel like I've noticed with this guy and like Chris Kunzler and I guess even like Baden Panada, like there's like a real fucking serious social ineptitude in the way that they talk, right? They seem like really fucking loose screws, you know? Yeah, I can tell why they're online all day looking at fucking dead people, but fuck. Hello.
Got some breaking news, okay?
What's
You know,
breaking news?
You know this disinformation tracker.
Yeah.
Apparently, he joined the Loner Accord. I think he's in the thing right now. He's in the
Well, he can
Loner
come to
Accord.
the VC then. Is he? I don't see him. Oh yeah, there he is. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I unbanned him ages ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could
Okay.
probably add him, but I could probably just like add him to like, hey, you can join a VC if you want. Oh, he's in the
Well, he's mad. I guess he's grumpy.
Drag him in.
Yeah, if he comes into the waiting room, yeah.
Yeah, he's in
There
there
he
now.
is. Okay. Hello, sir. Hello.
What up?
Are you echoing?
Can you hear me? Maybe. I can turn down the volume. Tell me.
Hang on.
You can tell me if it's better.
Are you on speakers or are you on?
Yeah, I got you on speaker.
Okay, the echoing's down now.
Okay.
What can I do for you? I know what I want to ask you, but you can start if you want.
Okay, go for it. No, go for it.
Yeah, do you understand the difference between being a reservist and having a continuous combat function?
So I don't agree with your judgment that because Hezbollah, I guess, is not the sole head of state, that they should lose those protections when you're talking about off-duty fighters walking in grocery markets, in their homes, playing with their children.
Right, that has nothing to do
in
with what
a
I just
car,
said. Just to be
maybe
clear,
driving somebody.
Just to be clear, that has
maybe
nothing to do
driving
with what I
somebody,
said.
their family, maybe driving their kids to school.
Yeah, just to be clear, this has nothing to do with what I said. What do you know the difference between, not because they're being a non-state actor.
No, it has everything
I'm
to
asking
do.
you
I'm saying
about
they weren't in
continuous combat
They
function.
weren't in combat. Yeah, you're saying because they're terrorists, they're not official state soldiers.
Doesn't matter about them not being
they're
official
always,
state.
They're
Doesn't matter about them not being
continuously
official
in
state.
combat.
No, it doesn't. No, it's not because they're non-state. They're continuously in combat. That would be ridiculous.
Then why do you think they're? Oh, because they have the pagers. They're continuously in combat.
What's the point? What was the purpose of the pagers?
How's that any different than having a cell phone?
What do you think?
Doesn't matter what piece of technology you have on you to be contacted with.
Do you think they were
No,
using?
there's nothing in the international law about pagers.
Wait, do you think they were using the pagers
I
to?
missed the whole segment about pagers in international law.
I could see why you're trying to like bulldoze, okay? But like, do you understand that like why
I'm not
the pagers were
bulldozing.
different
I'm saying
from phone
I don't
calls?
agree with you. So okay. So your whole premise is they have pagers instead of cell phones, so they're continuously combatants.
What was the
That's your
purpose of
argument.
What was the purpose of them having pagers?
What's the purpose of having a phone?
To contact friends, family, professional employers. What was the purpose
And?
of the pager?
Can you not be contacted by a military to come perform duties as a combatant with a phone?
Yeah, if you're combat
This is not
ready,
a-
yeah. If you're ready to be activated
Your
at any given moment,
interpretation
yeah.
of international law is nonsense. It's amateur.
It's not nonsense. It's backed up by
baseless.
legal scholars. I can show
There's
you the articles if
nothing
you
in
want.
international law about a distinction between a pager and a cell phone. That's comical.
Well, no, that's not the distinction. The distinction is between whether or not these people were combat ready, were battle ready.
No, combat. Firstly, combat ready means you're at a military base.
No, no, it doesn't. Where do you see that? Where do you find that in international law?
Combat ready. Okay, so
Show me right now.
I'm in bed,
Or did you just make that
sleeping
up?
with my family, and I'm combat ready.
Soldiers
Because
in
I
a
have
soldiers in a
pager instead
barrack,
of a
soldiers
cell
in
phone.
like soldiers
That's
who
your
are
interpretation of international law.
soldiers who
I'm
go to
in
sleep in
bed,
Gaza.
I'm sleeping next to my wife. My newborn baby is in the cradle next to me. I'm combat ready. I'm a combatant baby
Well,
because
these
I
pagers
own a
went off.
pager
Yeah.
instead of being a good boy
You're
and
taking
owning
so
just a cell
long
phone.
to say nothing. These people were awake. It was in the afternoon when they were fired. Okay, it's not like they were having a fucking
Like,
snooze.
It doesn't matter. Do you get? My point is the fact that they have pagers is irrelevant. It's It's a stupid
No, it's not.
point.
It's a military device. It was
Okay,
used for
fine. You
military
don't think
communications.
then we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get to your next question because that's ridiculous. And
why did a Hezbollah
I'd like
person
you to
call them
talk to an
fighters?
actual expert in international law instead of constantly.
Why did you come and talk to me then?
Sharing with your audience instead of constantly sharing with your audience your amateur ass interpretation of international law. And by the way, I know you look at like West Point think tank articles and you just copy the shit you read from there.
Well,
And
actually,
the
most of my
purpose
position here
those
came from
articles,
reading the IHL.
They're state-sponsored institutions that write these
so
articles
you're just gonna attack the
specifically
authors.
to
Okay,
justify
yeah,
war
yeah.
crimes. Their whole job is to come up with a case to justify war crimes.
Well, why did they say that there was particular issues with some legal arguments about the pagers? Why did they say that? Where did
Who's
you learn
they?
that? Where did you learn that their job is to justify war crimes? Do you think the Lieber Institute hasn't called out war crimes?
No, when did I
Oh,
say
you
they
don't
haven't
know.
called out war crimes?
What if it's their job to justify war crimes?
Their job is to justify war crimes. Yes, they come
According
up
to
with
who?
explanations for why war crimes are actually not crimes.
That's just an opinion. Actually, most of my
Okay, fine, it's
opinion
an
on this
opinion.
is formed by
Well,
reading about IHL.
What is your next question?
No, we haven't got past the first question yet. You can't explain why you think that you don't know the difference between a
I
reservist
told you
and
I
someone
do
in
not
continuous
accept
combat
your
function.
I told you I do not accept your amateur interpretation of international law that pagers make you a continuous combatant as opposed
It's not
to
the
cell
When did I
phones.
say the pagers make you a combatant?
That's what you said. That's literally what you
The
said.
pagers are an indicator that they were battle ready because they were ready to be activated at any moment
An
by being called up by a pager. Because that's what Hezbollah does.
That is what you're doing. It has nothing to do with international law. No, there's nothing in international law that says a pager is an indicator that you're battle ready. This is your own amateur interpretation of law. I could say a cell phone is an indicator that you're battle ready.
Okay, so tell me why I'm wrong about continuous combat function. Depends on what they're using the cell phone for, doesn't it? If they're using the cell phone to say that they're at any moment you can get phone call from Hezbollah, from one of the forces, and then you just go and fire rockets. Yes, that would make you a combatant if you're doing it with a phone.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I reject your idea, and it
Is it
does
not,
go
though?
back to them not
If you're
being
ready
the head
to
of
just
state.
if you're like 5 minutes away or 10 minutes away or an hour away from getting a call or a
It
text,
does go back.
and you go
Yeah,
and
but
fire a
same could
rocket,
be
does that
true
mean
of a
you're a
reservist
civilian?
in Tel Aviv?
No, it
And not
doesn't.
just
There you go.
reservists,
Thank you. Thank you.
off-duty
Thank you so much.
off-duty
Thank you.
officers.
Thank you so much for admitting you don't know
No,
fucking.
no, 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 no,
Yes,
no,
you
no.
admitted you don't know.
Off-duty officers.
Wait, what happens when a
Off-duty
reservist gets called
officers.
up? What happens when a
Are you
reservist gets called
listening
up?
to me?
No, you just admitted you don't know
What?
fucking anything. You know what you're talking about.
What did okay, what did I admit? Say your
Tell me
say your
what
argument.
happens. Tell me what happens when a reservist gets called up for duty by a state.
What
What's the
happens can
process?
vary depending on the scenario. What the hell are you
That's not
talking
a
about?
fucking answer.
want-
What typically happens when they get called up?
You want me to lay out? You get cold. You go to a military base. You get equipped. You get like what the hell do you want?
Does
you
a
want,
reservist
what
get? Does a
level
reservist
of
get a?
detail do you
yeah.
expect me to go through?
Does a reservist get a call up and then they're just ready to fight like within a few hours?
The hell is this question? Make your point if you want to. Okay, so let me get
Oh,
this
you're
straight.
actually going to give me the
You
opportunity to
think that
explain,
you've
but
assumed
everything
that
I explain,
wait.
you're just going to call
You've
an
assumed
amateur
that
interpretation.
Hezbollah fighters are combat ready within 10 minutes.
It doesn't
just
have to be 10
because,
minutes. I said
okay?
it can be 10 minutes or a few hours.
No, you
But
said
yes,
10
that was
minutes.
what happened. Yeah. No, I didn't just say 10
said
minutes.
10 minutes.
I said 10 minutes or.
Do you see what you're
Are
trying
you
to do?
clip chipping me in real time?
Find a flaw.
Are you actually
You're
clip chipping me
you're
in real
operating-
time?
You're
How many times did I say?
You're
Did I
operating
really?
on nothing.
What's the only time scale I gave? 10 minutes.
You're operating on nothing. You have
Yeah.
no objective facts.
You
no
said they targeted
reasonable
civilians when
interpretation
Hezbollah called them
of
fighters.
International law. You came up with this nonsense 10 minutes.
I didn't come up with
and then
it.
you said
I said it could be 10 minutes. It could also be what else? A few hours? Did you ignore me? Or are you actually just trying to clip chip me like you do in your fucking Twitter accounts in real time?
No, I'm not.
You
I'm
fucking
saying,
retard. Why
okay,
would you
a
even
few
try
hours,
to do
I
that?
don't care.
Holy shit.
I don't care. 10
That's the
minutes, a few
difference between a
hours.
reservist and continuous
is-
combat function.
These are things you're pulling out of
hang
your
on.
ass, Lonerbox. Okay.
So if I found
the
it at
Hezbollah
IHL, you'd
briefing,
change your mind. Let me find
So
it. then.
wait. The Hezbollah briefing said, "Here's our brave fighters who died. They were all ready to fight within a few hours." Not
No.
made up by Lonerbox. I don't give a shit what your assumptions are about how quick they are to fight. We're not in the realm of international law. Do you understand that? We're
Well, you're
so
not.
far outside because your amateur interpretation is trying to bring us to a place that has nothing to do with international law.
Okay, so this is
And
from
combat
the
ready,
Red
you're on a
Cross.
military base.
This is from the Red Cross, okay? Let me find it. Continuous combat function requires lasting integration into an organized armed group acting as the armed forces of a non-state party to an armed conflict. Sounds like Hezbollah to me. Thus, individuals whose continuous function
You said
involves...
it wasn't about non-state. That was the first thing I brought up was state versus
It's just that
non-state.
most
And I said it rejected it. And by the way, the excerpt you're reading is about an interpretation of the law. It's not the law itself.
It's whose interpretation is it?
The Red Cross.
Okay, so is the Red Cross's job to justify war crimes?
I didn't say it was their job. But
okay, so I'm just going to keep
is,
reading so we can listen to the people who know what the fuck they're talking about. Thus, individuals whose continuous function involves the preparation,
First, you
execution,
didn't know what you were talking about.
or
You said it wasn't
command,
about
or
state.
acts,
I
or
already, the
operations
first thing I brought up was
amounting
state.
to
You made it
direct
about
participation
10 minutes and
in
pagers.
hostilities are assuming continuous combat function. An individual recruited, trained, and equipped by such a group to continuously and directly participate in hostilities on its behalf can be considered to assume a continuous combat function even before he or she first carries out a hostile act. This case must be distinguished from persons comparable to reservists who, after a period of basic training or active membership, leave the armed group and reintegrate into civilian life. Such reservists are civilians until and for such time as they are called back to active duty. Do you have an IHL opinion that contradicts that I can see, please?
Yeah. The first thing I said, which you immediately moved past because you said it's not about state versus non-state, and that's literally what this is about: state versus non-state. So
Well,
you moved past the argument. You went to amateur bullshit international law. You moved me past what I was going to say, which has to do with actual international law.
So I'm just going to ask you the same question again because you're not answering it. Do you have an alternative opinion in IHL that contradicts what I just said?
Yeah, Hezbollah. Yeah, no. What I said is I don't agree with your interpretation that
it's not my interpretation. That's the Red Cross.
As non-state actors and therefore lose their protection when they're in a civilian setting.
They don't lose it because there's
Hezbollah
non-state
is a part
actors
of the
by
government
default.
of Lebanon. Hezbollah is a part of the government of Lebanon. Okay?
Is there military? Wait. Fuck you, man. Is the military non-state or is it state?
Just because
is the Hezbollah military state or non-state?
Just because they're not the exclusive government.
Hezbollah military state or
part
non-state?
Of the government.
Yeah, and did they vote in the existence of their military?
They are a part of the government. I reject the idea.
Did they vote in their military?
Because they are not the exclusive government. That therefore protections which are meant to stop attacks on civilians, reckless attacks in civilian areas, those protections should no longer apply. I reject that.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Is the Hezbollah military sanctioned by the state then? So they used their what did they do? Did they use their parliament members to vote on the existence of Hezbollah having a military? Is that how that happened? Or are you just saying they have a few seats in parliament, therefore them having a non-state military is somehow not a non-state military? What the fuck?
Okay.
What a fucking brain-dead objection.
I'm saying they're part of the state. No, I'm saying they're part of the state, and I consider the military to have the same protections. And again, what you're reading is an interpretation. It's not the actual law. So this could be debated in a court if you'd like.
Well, show me your alternative. Show me the alternative opinion that contradicts this.
And try to debate whether or not Hezbollah should qualify for protections.
Okay, so we've evolved now.
The same
we've evolved
civilian
from
protections that other off-duty officers have.
So we've evolved from, the idiot's interpretation, and now we're one step up to the ICRC's interpretation, which you disagree with because...
No. Lonerbox, are you going to try and rewrite history? The first thing I said was I reject the non-state distinction. You said it has nothing to do with non-state.
It's not about
non-state. Now, if somebody wants to go back...
Continuous combat... why do you think they mentioned non-state in this paragraph?
If somebody wants to go back and listen to the first thing you said, you were so confident in yourself.
Why?
I knew what the argument would be. You didn't. I knew the argument would be about state versus non-state.
Why do you think it says non-state in that? Why do you think it non-state?
You immediately moved past that. You tried to make it about the fact that they have pagers, and you assume that they can be ready to fight in 10 minutes. I guess
did I just say 10 minutes? Why are you doing? Why you're literally doing the real life clip thing again? I don't understand.
No.
Why do you think they say non-state?
Come on.
Okay, so can I explain myself for like 30 seconds? The reason I said non-state is not the most relevant factor here, or the relevant factor, is because the reason continuous combat function is applied differently from reservists is because non-state actors use their militants in a different way from states. It's not because they're non-state. It's just that this happens to be a behavior, a way of doing military operations that is basically just done by non-state actors. Do you understand what I just said? What did I just say?
So the argument that you're making is that it has nothing to do with them being state versus non-state. So you've abandoned that.
What did I just say?
A second ago, what did I just say? Sorry, wait, what did I just say? They should be considered state or non-state.
What did I just say?
That's what I'm asking you. So you
you've completely forgotten. If you've forgotten what I said, I can say it again.
No. This is what my question to you, okay? And you can answer it clearly. Are you dropping the argument that it matters whether they're considered state or non-state? Are you dropping that argument?
Yeah, if a state behaved in this way, they'd still have continuous combat function, yeah. It's just that states don't do this. That's why that
Do
paragraph
what?
mentions non-state
Do
actors.
what?
Have
Do
a
what?
military force where soldiers are literally battle ready and even working regular jobs like in the
What do you
same
mean
day.
What do you mean battle ready?
As in they're ready like at any minute or to go out and to take part in an operation.
They're just
There's not,
psychologically
like,
ready. They're psychologically
no,
ready.
as in they are ready in terms of they can get a call and they would go up and be battle ready like within a day. There's like a revolving door. That's what the argument is.
Okay,
Reservists
you're not
don't do
saying
this.
anything. What makes them particularly battle ready compared to like an off-duty soldier in Israel?
As an off-duty soldier versus a reservist. So I don't know about not off-duty soldiers. So you can tell
Versus
me how
a
they operate.
Hezbollah fighter.
Yeah, so you
Versus a Hezbollah
okay?
fighter.
I'm going to trust you then because you didn't know anything about reservists to compare it to this. But what is an off-duty soldier? How does that work?
No, I'm asking you. You're saying they're bad. You're saying they're.
I don't know
uniquely
how off-duty
battle-ready.
soldiers exactly. I don't know the process of off-duty soldiers, so you can tell me. What is an off-duty soldier? How does that work?
No, you're
Can
the
an
one
off-duty
making the
soldier-
claim. You're saying they're uniquely battle ready. It's your claim.
Compared to reservists, I don't know about off-duty
Don't
soldiers.
push the responsibility onto me. You're the
you
one
brought
who
up
has this.
you brought up
thesis.
off-duty soldiers. Why are you
It's
being
your
so fucking
thesis.
dense,
They're
man?
uniquely battle ready. Stop
Compared
trying
to
to
reservists.
stall.
Compared to reservists.
Stop trying to stall. You weren't able to answer the question. We could move on to another subject, or you can give me an answer. Why are they so uniquely battle ready?
Compared to reservists, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, because reservists have a fine line. You are either integrated into civilian life and not battle ready, or you get the call up, then you go and you leave your civilian job temporarily, and you go and get training, and you go and get ready to go to the front lines or to military operations.
So,
that's the
so
difference.
those fighters
Whereas-
didn't. So nobody targeted in the pager attack had a civilian job.
What did I just say?
You just said you're working your civilian job and you're waiting to get the call. Okay, so you're telling me nobody targeted in the pager attack had a civilian job.
Okay, I don't think you understand the process.
No, you
difference
don't
is-
understand your own points. You just told
Yes,
me
I do.
reservists. The fine line
reservists
is they're
don't
working
get
a
up.
civilian job and then they get the call. So now I'm asking you. You made these claims. Now you got to back them up. Nobody targeted in the pager attack
Yeah.
had a civilian job.
Okay, so when a reservist, I didn't say about not having a civilian job. You're literally, when you say that Hezbollah people who got hit with those pagers had a civilian job, you're making my point, right? The fact that they multitask, that they are at the same time battle ready and also
I'm
have
not
a
making
civilian
your
job.
point. You said they're battle ready. You
Yes,
still haven't
you're making my
explained why
point.
they're uniquely battle ready. And
Because as soon as they get the
off-duty
pager
soldiers
call,
and reservists in Israel aren't battle ready.
because reservists
Battle ready.
have to take
By
time.
the way, combat ready. Actually, if you gave a crap, means you're on a military base. But fine, keep going.
That's not what battle ready necessarily means, but okay.
Okay, fine. So why are they battle ready?
What do you think I'm going to say? Because I've
You know, at
answered this
any
question
point you
50
can
times
move on
right
to
now.
another question because you've been totally unable to defend your stance.
Yeah, just do that thing where you just like have no fucking idea what you're talking about, and you just keep on reminding everyone how
you're the
winning.
one
Yeah,
making
good.
you're the one making
Hey
extraordinary
guys, just
claims.
so you guys know, disinformation tracker is getting absolutely fucking rolled right now.
Oh,
Next.
okay. Oh, if you
That
say
is
it,
what
it's
you're
gotta
doing.
be true.
I mean, that's exactly
What
what
do
you're
you
doing,
mean?
but okay.
How many times do I have to ask you the same question? We can go through this.
I answered it a
Somebody
million
can go
times.
scrub through this conversation. How many times do I have to ask you why are they uniquely battle ready?
Because when reservists get called up for duty, there is a process where they leave their civilian job and then they go back in, they get briefed, they get armed, they get told what their job is, and this is sometimes a process of like several
Okay,
days.
so
There's a very clear
so
separation.
those fighters
I'm not
could
done answering my
so
question,
have
you
it-
fucking
you have it
moron.
on good authority. You have it on good authority that those fighters did not have a process to go to get armed and briefed. You have this information.
Can you let me finish my sentence, please? My
Okay, fine.
statement?
Keep going.
Okay. So I'm just going to start again, okay? I'm going to start again from the start
Start
every
again.
time you do this, okay? Reservists get called
ahead.
up, and then when they get called up, then they know that there's going to be a certain time window even before they even have to go to attend, because they have to have time to leave their job. They might be in a different country at the time, okay? They are completely integrated into civilian life, and when they leave civilian life, they will turn up then to their barracks, they will get told what their orders are, then they'll get preparation, and sometimes this process can take days, it can take weeks. With someone who is a non-state actor with a continuous combat function, the same process happens like within 24 hours. That's the difference.
Okay, where's
And
your
they can go
where's your
back and
proof
forth.
that where's your proof that your comparison of This is the average amount of time it takes for a reservist to get called up, and this is the average amount of time it takes for a Hezbollah fighter to get called up.
The fact that Hezbollah fighters literally do civilian jobs and then also go and fire fucking rockets, like,
where's
what?
your proof about the window of time it takes to get processed and briefed and be ready to enter combat?
So
where's your proof?
Do you deny that Hezbollah has literally rockets that can be fired
I'm
from
not the one
inside civilian
making.
homes?
I'm not the one making these claims. I'm asking you, what's your proof?
I'm asking you.
You pretend that you have a very logical, well-documented, well-sourced opinion, okay? But then you're bullshitting because
Well,
you're
why
talking
did no
about.
one in- why did no one in
It's
Hezbollah-
usually 24 hours for a reservist, but
That's
for a
also,
Hezbollah
again,
fighter,
for non-state
it's an
actors, that's
hour.
also what the fucking Red Cross paper says as well, by the way, about non-state actors. Yes, this is typically what they do. We can also
what
talk
I'm
about.
asking is, where is your proof about how long it takes for a Hezbollah fighter to get processed and armed and briefed?
Probably the fact that Hezbollah didn't even try. No one in Hezbollah has attempted to make the claim that these were reservists. That these are comparable to
So
reservists.
you didn't answer the question.
Yes, I did. If they
You
were
don't have an
if
answer.
they were reservists, they
and
would
what's
say.
funny is, rhetorically, you're gonna try and just through your words, you're gonna try and pretend that you knew what you were talking about and that you had answers and you had me on the ropes. I didn't know what to say. I'm asking you basic questions to back up your thesis, your analysis.
Yeah,
this isn't analysis.
Yeah, but the problem with
This
you is
brain
that
dead.
you've admitted that nothing will change your mind. The Hezbollah said they were fighters.
What do you mean the problem?
They didn't
I
say
asked
they were
you,
reservists.
You can change my mind. Do you
Hezbollah
think by
said they were
answering
fighters. Do you
basic
deny that? Do you
questions,
deny
you might
that?
be able
Do
to
you
change
deny?
my mind?
Do you deny that Hezbollah people said that they were fighters? They were fighters, not reservists. Fighters.
When did I
you
deny
deny
that some of these people were fighters?
Do you deny that Hezbollah said that they were? Well, because you initially told Hutch that they targeted civilians.
No. Okay. Firstly,
So you lied.
Maybe
You didn't know. You had no
later.
fucking
No. Firstly,
Yes,
you
you
have
did.
civilian
Do you deny
protections.
that? Oh, we're gonna
You
go back
have
and scrub the
civilian
clip from my little Twitter
protections
account.
when you're not in combat. Okay. So
No,
then
you
later when
fucking-
later when he later when he brought up the fighters, which I know about the fighters. I've heard your arguments about this. Okay.
So you just lied. You said, why do you say they
later
targeted
when he
civilians
brought
then?
up the fighters, I clarified. And
Why did you say they
heard
targeted
me
civilians
clarify.
then? Why did you say they targeted civilians? Hezbollah
Firstly,
doesn't
they
agree with
did.
this.
There were politicians, there were diplomats, children were killed. Okay, and I said you
They
can't
didn't-
control.
did they
who has
target the
pagers,
children?
But also, non-combatants have civilian protections.
Were the children targeted?
What I said was, if you
Oh, so you
cannot
lied about that
control
as well.
who-
You know the children
who
weren't
comes in-
targeted, do
no,
you?
I said
Yes, you
if
do.
you
Yes,
cannot
you do.
control-
You know that they
if
targeted
you
their
cannot
parents
control-
who were
if you
Hezbollah
cannot control
operatives.
if you cannot control who comes in possession of these pagers, and clearly, kids were maimed and killed.
It's not about controlling, it's about having a
non-fighters
reasonable assumption
were-
of where they would be.
Yeah, the problem with this is, for you can make reasonable, extensive, boundless.
That's
So
the purpose
how
of
am I
law.
supposed to have an
Yes.
argument about like that? You can say
Okay,
reasonable.
well, use
okay,
your brain
a lot
then.
of things are reasonable to you.
Okay, yeah, use
It
your
wasn't
brain.
reasonable to the ex-director of the CIA, but it was reasonable to you. Okay.
Yeah, and to other. Wait, do you trust the CIA or no? I thought the CIA's and the West Point and all these people, their job was to justify war crimes. Oh, you only
I
agree
think
with
that
them
when
when
they
they agree
offer-
with you. Yeah, okay.
When
I
you
see.
offer
When
what's
they say
called
what you
evidence
like.
against interest, it's more credible.
Why? But this guy was ex-CIA. What's his interest?
Okay, whatever. Fine.
You think everyone in the
Deflect, I
CIA
don't
likes
care. The
Israel?
point
Like,
is-
what the fuck? You think everyone in the CIA's
I
job is
can't
to
even
like
hear you.
Israel?
What are you saying?
Do you think everyone in the CIA's job is to like Israel?
No, I think their job is
Okay,
to
so you don't- yeah,
support the American State Department.
Which doesn't necessarily
And the
entail,
American State Department obviously is heavily supportive of Israel.
even though Israel has
And of course,
literally,
there's a lot
even
of
though
ties
America has
between
literally
CIA and Mossad.
criticized Israel's actions.
I think a
don't-
lot of people
okay.
probably, on a personal level in the CIA, probably hate Israel.
Yeah,
but their
especially
job
ex-
is to
okay, so it's
support-
not evidence against interest. He's ex-CIA.
No, in this case, I would say it's more credible because that is not good for State
You've just
Department
contradicted
propaganda.
yourself.
So
It's
who is
fine.
he
It's
working
okay.
for?
You've just contradicted yourself. It's okay. He's not working for CIA.
No, I haven't.
You said CIA
No, I
people
said
can
it's
probably hate
more
Israel.
credible
so
when
not
it's evidence
interest.
against interest.
Yeah, but it's not evidence against
Say that
interest.
again?
It's not evidence against interest.
Why? I didn't say
How
this
do you know
guy
that?
hates Israel. I
You
didn't
said
say he
people in
hates
the CIA
Israel. How the
how
fuck
do you-
would I know if he hates Israel?
Is he an Israel glazer?
How long do you want to talk about our speculation whether the ex-CIA director likes or hates Israel?
We can ditch it if you want, but
What
you,
is
you
this?
brought it up. You brought it up. You said that
You're
it was evidence
really
against
desperate
interest.
to try and find some sort of flaw in logic, some gotcha.
I'm
It's
just
not
matching
there,
your energy.
You know?
I'm just
What you
behaving in
should
the
have
exact
done.
same way you do. I'm just matching you.
Okay,
We can calm down if you
so
want.
be better than me. Be better than me if I'm behaving badly. When I asked you what is the source of this information, you know how long it takes for a Hezbollah fighter to get called up. You know the time window and the process for them to get called up. And also you ignore the politicians, the diplomats who were also targeted. The fact that you can't control who's going to ultimately end up in possession of these pagers. Okay,
it's
and
not
then
about
you said, well, no,
controlling.
it's reasonable assumption. As soon as we get into reasonable assumption, then that's the kind of thing you got to bring to a court, and then you got to argue your interpretation of reasonable.
Well, why don't we
and
argue that then?
I don't think we're about to agree on that.
Well, we can make
I don't
good
think,
arguments
no,
or bad
there's
arguments.
no way
about
we're going to
reasonable-
agree.
Yeah, I'll give
There's
you.
no way we're going to agree.
Okay, just humor me, okay? I don't expect you to agree with me, okay? That's fine. I don't expect that. That's fine. I don't think Arabs are idiots. Maybe you do, okay? I think Hezbollah are quite a sophisticated
You always
organization.
do that. Bigotry of low expectations.
I don't think
Right?
Hezbollah are incompetent. I think they're a very sophisticated military organization. I think most people, they've shown Israel up probably more than any other Arab force has in the last few decades. So I think if Hezbollah orders a bunch of pagers for their soldiers, which was admitted to by the IRGC officials who spoke to Reuters, then I don't think they're going to be stupid enough to allow these pagers that are used for sensitive military operations to avoid detection from the IDF are going to necessarily allow these pagers to just get randomly dispersed among the civilian population. So I think it's a reasonable expectation that if you bug these pagers with explosions, and they were actually they went through some preliminary Hezbollah security checks. They tried it in airport security, and they passed it. So I think if you are giving these pagers to Hezbollah, and you know that Hezbollah are using it for military operations, then I think it's reasonable to assume that when you set these pagers off, the majority of them are going to be on the militants, and they're going to be hitting the militants. And that's exactly what happened.
Firstly, I told you, diplomats, politicians, children. Okay.
Was I wrong about the majority?
Okay, you think. What did you say? What would Hutch say? 1,400 out of 3,000?
It was 1,500, and those were only permanently injured ones. Those were only permanently injured.
But
you acknowledge that some people got temporarily injured as well.
Number one, non-combatants. Number two, you can't control. You're booby-trapping a device, and you can't control who's going to have possession of it. Number three, you're hitting diplomats. You're hitting politicians.
Do you think there's much of a distinction in Hezbollah between their political wing and their militant wing?
Much of a distinction? What qualifies as the right amount of distinction, and where's your analysis on the amount of distinction between the targets, the people who got hit, the politicians, the Iranian diplomat? Where's your analysis about the amount of distinction there was?
Well, I know the fact that when people were trying to sanction Hezbollah, Europe tried to say that we're only going to sanction the military wing, not the political one. Even though it's interesting because if you look at the way that the Shura Council oversees Hezbollah's different branches and even statements from people like Naim Qassem, it seems to be that Hezbollah themselves don't really see a difference between a distinct political wing and a military wing. They see this as like it's all the resistance. So it could be that these Iranian diplomats.
You're trying to go off a quote. You're trying to use a quote to avoid actual analysis. Actual analysis would be you find the politicians and the diplomats who were targeted in the strike, okay, in the pager attack, and then you show me that they were militants.
How do I show you that?
Exactly.
Do you want me to give you IDF intel? Do you want the IDF to release how?
No, I'm saying you're the one who's so confident that everyone who got hit, you've made a guess.
I didn't say everyone.
They're all militants.
I said the majority, as per Hezbollah's words. No, we're talking about number one again. Number one, non-combatants. Number two, politicians and
diplomats.
No, they
Number
said
3, you
1,500.
can't control who gets in possession of the pagers that you're booby trapping, so you're killing and maiming children
They said
and
1,500
other civilians.
They said 1,500 fighters were permanently injured. That only counts permanently injured. That doesn't count people who were also temporarily injured.
Yeah, okay.
So at least half. Yeah.
How many times do I have to say this?
At least half were fighters.
Non-combatants.
Wait, do you think
What?
they described? Do you think they described the politicians as fighters?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, so you think when
I said
Hezbollah
there
calls them
were
fighters, to you
politicians
they're
who were hit.
non-combatants?
There were politicians. No, I said there were politicians and diplomats who were hit. They couldn't control who was going to have possession of the pagers. So your people are living civilian lives. They're in civilian areas. You could be driving your family home. You could be in a supermarket. Your kid could get a hold of your pager. You're not.
Yes,
in
we know
combat.
that was part of the reasonable expectation. They expected that not every pager would be on the person that it was targeting, which is collateral damage, okay? Because Hezbollah operates from within civilian areas, okay? That's always part of the collateral.
They were not targeting combatants. That's why there are laws that say you can't
But
just
you think a
non-combatants.
combatant is someone who's in a base or is firing their weapon, but that's not true.
Okay, but going between a base, there may be some in-between scenarios, but when you're living
Oh,
civilian
really?
life,
Like a revolving
you are
door? Like
non-combatant.
that's why we have continuous combat function. Yes, that's why. Yes, thank you. You're in my position now.
Yes,
well done.
but
Congratulations.
no, I'm not in your position because I said I don't think an off-duty Israeli soldier or reservist in a supermarket is considered a valid target or a combatant.
Do you,
and I
out of
say
interest,
the same
out of
thing
interest,
about Hezbollah fighters.
Out of interest, do you deny that? I'll just to ask you about Hamas, and then I can see with Hezbollah. Do you deny that Hamas fighters literally like work a day job and then they go and do military operations like in the same day? Do you deny that they do that?
That they have day jobs?
That they have
No,
day
I don't
jobs
deny they have day
as well
jobs,
as
and
as well as
I don't
military
deny
jobs.
that,
like they will literally like do a
what's
day
that?
job. Like the Hamas people will do a day job, and then in the evening they might go and patrol the border as a soldier, or they might like
That I don't. That
Do you deny that?
That I don't know.
Okay. If
It's
that
not,
could
it's
be
not denying it. I
if
don't
that
know.
would- yeah, I know.
You think I
that's fine.
reviewed
Yes, I know. Yes.
a day in the life of every Hamas soldier?
Okay. Well, you don't have to. You can just look at like their website and the way that they talk about dead soldiers and shit like that, because they'll
They
usually
say
be quite descriptive.
they say on the website, so and so was delivering the mail, and then within 10 minutes he was shooting rockets.
Some
That's
of
on
them,
the Hamas website.
With some of them, they'll say things like some of them who worked in the police would work a day job, and then they would go to
Yeah,
a
they say
mosque
the
for
same
the
thing
for a
about
dawn prayer, and then they
they'll
would
say
go
the
out
same
and
thing in
fire
obituaries for Israeli soldiers and
aircraft.
American soldiers.
No.
Same thing in the obituaries for Israeli soldiers and
What
American soldiers.
in the same day?
That they have other jobs. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying. I'll just rephrase because you didn't hear what I said clearly. When Hamas fighters are killed, sometimes in their obituaries, they will talk about like the day that they died, or they'll say what they would do by day and by night. And they'd say, oh, by day they worked in like some kind of like they worked in sales or something like that, and then by the evening they were doing like a military border patrol. Yes, because there's like a there's like a very revolving door relationship between militant and civilian status. That's why continuous combat function emerged as a concept for them.
If you would like to make an actual argument about an actual person or group of people who were targeted and whether or not they were actually rapidly moving between a civilian setting and fighting, and you have actual evidence about it, and in this case we're talking about the pager attack, then you can show me that evidence. You can go over it.
Intel
instead,
on
what you're doing,
fighters.
instead what you're doing, this is what you keep asking me. You don't think, you don't imagine, you don't speculate, you don't dream up this scenario where these fighters were working in whatever fucking civilian job, or they're in whatever civilian area, and then within X amount of time they were in a combat role, and that amount of time is small enough to be considered under international law being in a continuous combat role, and it's distinct from anyone in the IDF.
Well, just reservists specifically. I don't know how
if you want to give me all that analysis instead of just telling me, well, you don't think, doesn't it feel right?
Well, also, I'm only doing this because I'm being very generous to you by just not saying that Hezbollah admitted that they were fighters, and the IRGC said that these pagers were exclusively distributed for Hezbollah operatives. So
they weren't fighters. I never said they weren't fighters.
Oh, but non-combatant fighters, is that your opinion? Even though no one... no one has made this argument.
That's what I said from the beginning.
Yeah, but
that's what I said from the beginning.
But the thing is, that's you inventing, because no one in Hezbollah has made this argument. Why not?
What argument? What are you talking about? You think Hezbollah said it was legal? That it wasn't a terror attack?
Did Hezbollah say that they were reservists? If that's how they operated, I think that'd be quite valuable information to share. They're so to you, they're non-combatant fighters. I understand, but yeah, whatever.
Yes, they're non-combatants.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, non-combatant fighters, to be clear.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just trying to. I don't know why.
Like, soldier.
I'm just trying to.
You can be in the Israeli military and a non-combatant. You can be in the Israeli military and be a non-combatant. Okay, fine. So, off-duty soldiers, reservists, fair game.
I don't know about off-duty soldiers. You're yet to tell me like how they operate. I know about reservists because their role is different.
I'm not the one claiming I have the stats on average elapsed time between doing something in a civilian area and fighting in a.
Well, I know it's because you have no interest in any of these organizations or how they work. I mean, I can look.
Yeah, they release those stats. That's what they do. They release the stats.
Who releases the stats?
I'm being sarcastic. Nobody releases those stats.
What stats?
Average elapsed time between living a civilian life and being called up.
No,
to,
they don't. But these
fight.
non-state actors do tell you enough about themselves for you to think it's like to know that this is like practice.
You're trying to make. Remember again. See, the problem is I let you go on and on about this, even though you don't have a new point. You're just talking long enough to forget the last thing I said. The last time I answered the question.
Wait, you didn't know the thing I said about Hamas, by the way. You didn't know about Hamas working day jobs and then fighting by night.
The last time I answered the question, I said, what is your information, your analysis on the average elapsed time between an off-duty soldier or a reservist in the Israeli military, how long it takes for them to be in combat, and then give me the analysis for why that amount of time doesn't count as continuous, whereas the amount of time for a Hezbollah fighter to enter combat does count as continuous. Like, give me. You don't have actual analysis.
You want me to make a moral argument about why the time frame matters?
No, I'm not asking for a moral argument. I'm saying, where's the data on? This is the amount of time it takes them to deploy, and this is why it's different.
Well, I just showed you. So, do you admit that I just told you something about Hamas that you didn't seem to know about how they will literally in the same day do a civilian job and then a military job?
When did I ever say there's nobody in Hamas who
you didn't say there's nobody
ping-pongs between civilian life and combat? When did I say that?
You said you didn't know. You said you didn't know. So that's why I'm saying.
I don't know what answer. Okay, what was the specific question I said I didn't know to?
I was asking you if you're aware that from Hamas obituaries that they will literally say that they have fighters who will go through like a revolving door within the day between like fighting and doing a civilian job.
Okay.
Okay. And state militaries typically don't do this, correct?
I don't know how long it takes to deploy for an off-duty soldier or reservist or what have you.
What would it change your opinion at all if you had an answer to that? If we could ask like a reservist how long it takes, or we can just look that up together right now.
Well, what would need to change my opinion is I would need something in law that that you can point to that is a serious analysis of international law that shows that this is the elapsed time between Hezbollah fighters being deployed. This is the elapsed time between Israeli fighters being deployed, and this is why that distinction matters. As for the non-combatant status,
you're not going to find it enshrined in law, but what you are going to find is they can give you that paper from the Red Cross because they talk about the purpose of like why the revolving door thing is something that can be easily exploited and why continuous combat function makes sense. We can go through that if you want.
You have done nothing to demonstrate
you just asked me to provide
that Hezbollah fighters are deploying at a rate that is so much more rapid than Israeli fighters, and as a result of that, they are continuous combatants.
Apart from
and
the fact
how long
that
is
no
this
one...
discussion going to go on for?
So you've asked me for two things at once now.
You realize we've been talking about the same thing for a long time now.
Yeah, because you're an unbearable fucking roadblock in this conversation. Like, I don't know how you can have literally...
Yeah, because you want me to accept your... you want me to play your amateur game.
No, I'm actually kind of enjoying
just play around and
I'm enjoying you just bumbling around, be like, can you tell me the exact time, the amount of hours and minutes and seconds it takes someone to go between continuous combat function and a civilian role? Why are you calling it a terror attack?
You are the one...
clearly don't even fucking know.
You are the one justifying a terror attack.
A terror attack where they target targeted
prove that
fighters,
they're
and everyone admits
that they're
everyone,
combatants, that they have lost their non-combatant status.
even though everyone admits that they targeted fighters. Everyone admits this. Hezbollah admits it.
I never
the
said
IRGC
they didn't target
admits it,
fighters.
The IDF says that. Everyone consents apart from you, disinformation
Do you know
tracker.
how many times you've repeated this? Do you know how many times you've repeated this?
And it's still not sinking in, I'm afraid.
What's not sinking in? I said you can be a fighter. It's different than being a combatant. Someone can be a soldier and not a combatant.
So they targeted soldiers. How is that a terror attack if you target soldiers?
If you're a non-combatant, and
Where
as
are you
I
getting
said,
this? Where are you getting this? Where there's like a
diplomats, politicians, diplomats.
Are
and you
politicians?
can't
Wait,
control who comes in possession of the
politicians aren't soldiers. So
yes,
talking
there were
about
also
soldiers.
politicians and diplomats. There were also politicians and diplomats.
yeah,
in
politicians
the
and diplomats who just happened to be holding pagers that were
Okay, so they
distributed for the
happened to be holding
purposes
them.
of
Great,
militants
great.
to avoid detection. That's interesting, isn't it? It's almost
Okay,
as if these
it's
non-state
interesting.
actors are kind of
That's
fluid
the
with the way they
defense.
behave, isn't it?
It's the interesting defense. It's the interesting defense.
It's better than anything you have so far, buddy.
Okay, it's
You've
not
got-
good
it's
enough.
my- you've got-
It's
it's my
not
opinion
an
that
argument
these
under
guys weren't-
international law.
It's my opinion that these guys weren't like targetable fighters, even though
They were
no one has suggested.
non-combatants. They were non-combatants.
How
If
do you know
you're,
that? How do you know they were
uh,
non-combatants? Because they were just.
Because if you're living a civilian life, you're in civilian areas, you're a non-combatant.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so in your world, I'm just asking about your moral compass here, okay? In your world, someone goes and fires rockets at the front line, then they go back home and they attend to their family or something like that, and then they go back and do the same thing, all within 24 hours. Can you only target them when they're firing the rockets?
First, it's not about in my world.
No, I'm asking you, this clearly is in your world, because continuous combat function
No.
goes against what you're saying.
We're talking about whether or not they're going to be considered combatants or non-combatants.
Obviously, that's okay.
That's not my world.
It is your world, because in your world, apparently, it doesn't matter. Because apparently, according to you,
How
it doesn't
long
matter
is it
how
going
far
to
away they are
take for
from
you to
their
make a
militant
point?
jobs.
How long is it going to take for you to make a point? Because you
I've
didn't
already
come
made
equipped.
like 20 fucking points about this, but you're just
No, you made the same
recycling the
failed
same fucking
point
bullshit.
20
Okay.
times.
Yeah?
You made the same failed point 20 times.
Why is it a failed
because
point
you
that
never
they were fighters
demonstrated,
and that they had
you never
pagers that were used
demonstrated
to
that you have
activate
an
people?
actual factual basis. You never demonstrated that you have an actual factual basis to designate the Hezbollah fighters who were hit in that attack as combatants as opposed to non-combatants.
Apart from the fact that
You just had speculation. You just speculated. I guess this is how long
apart from
it
the fact
takes.
that they had pagers that were being used to avoid detection from the military that could be used to activate soldiers, and apart from the fact that they literally said that they were
having
fighters.
a pager
and that
does
most of them
not
were-
make you a combatant.
They said
Having a
that-
pager does not make you a combatant.
Okay, that's
having a
just
cell phone
really
does not make
interesting.
you a combatant.
Yeah, that's fine then, because if you want to say
Okay,
that
fine,
for some
it's the
reason,
interesting
if
defense.
you want to say that
Fine,
these were
it's the interesting
1,500,
defense.
if you want to say these were 1,500 non-combatant fighters and they hadn't actually fired a rocket or done anything
They
for
were
about 6
non-combatants.
months,
They were in civilian areas. They were in grocery stores. They were driving in cars. They were in their homes.
okay,
You
so being
understand?
being in a civilian area is mutually exclusive with being a combatant.
It's mutual.
That's so fucking
Yes.
stupid. Why would you say that? What the fuck?
Because
a
they're not
combatant
in
can't
combat.
operate
If you
from
were
within.
if you were in a
Okay.
civilian area with a gun and engaging in combat, that would be different. No, they were just living civilian lives.
Or a pager where you were ready to be activated at any given moment.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. This isn't going to go
Okay.
anywhere. You think the pager is the secret ticket. Did you have another question? Because I have something to ask you.
I have a question, if that's okay.
Sure.
It's a good one. Okay. I feel like this is a good one because the answer is either yes or it's no. Okay,
Then I'm not
and-
answering it. I don't like these. You
You
ask
don't
a
like yes or
bullshit
no
question. You
questions?
say yes or no. Have you seen that Lemmy skit? Yes or no.
Can you claim to be able to answer anything yes or no ever, like in life?
Is it okay to kill somebody? Yes or no. It's a
Wait,
yes or no question.
That was a trick question because that was technically a yes or no question that I just asked.
Okay. Anyways.
Is there any question
Lonerbox.
to which you will answer yes or no?
Why are you like so on guard about being trapped in a conversation like this? It's so weird. You're so defensive.
It's because the way you argue is annoying because you try and force somebody to answer your questions the
Yeah,
way you
typically.
like.
Yeah, typically.
You
Well,
won't
if you're
allow them.
confident in a
dodging,
position,
yes.
you'll just answer
You-
it, right? If you're confident in a
that?
position, you will just answer the question.
It depends.
There is
on
no
question.
being trapped in questions.
Is it okay to kill somebody? Okay, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes
well, no,
or
it should be okay. Here's one because there is an answer
yes
to this,
or
and
no?
it's either yes or no, right?
Well, the clearer
let's
question
say
is: has anyone
yes
in
or no.
Hezbollah tried to claim that these people were like reservists or were like not worthy of targeting? But no one said that.
Oh my
They
lord!
admitted that they were fighters.
My lord! How many times are you going to say the same thing?
I just want to hear what you have to say to this. Okay, here's the question. So there's a military base. Okay, it's a military base. It's an American military base, and America's at war. Okay, and America's opponent, let's say it's China. We get intel that they've got a bomber. Okay, and they're coming to bomb the base. They're going to bomb our base and all the mans in the base. Okay, and they're all uniform wearing military combatants. And the commander of the base gets wind of this, and he's like, "Oh shit, they're going to bomb the base in like 2 hours." And so he gets on the horn, right? He gets on the loudspeaker, and he issues a command, and everybody in the base throws off their uniforms, throws their guns on the ground, runs across the street, and starts having a picnic. By virtue of these people not being uniformed, not being armed, and not being on a military base, does it automatically become a war crime to bomb them?
Okay, so your purpose there is
the answer to this is either yes or
on
no.
A base. Wait,
there is an answer to this, and it's either yes or no.
No, it's not. No, I will say yes or no, but first, listen. Your purpose for this is to say that the Hezbollah fighters are equivalent to.
I'm just asking you a question. I already laid out exactly what the situation was.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear on why you're asking.
Okay, you have a good day.
Okay. So the point he was trying to make was the Hezbollah fighters were all on a military base, and then they left and posed as civilians very quickly, very rapidly. That didn't happen. So fucking made up scenario. You're living civilian lives.
How do you know that?
What do you mean? They were walking around grocery stores.
No, I mean, how do you know how do you know they hadn't been operating earlier in the day, or they weren't about to later in the day? How do you know that?
I never claimed that I know everything about
yes,
their.
You did. You said they were non-combatants.
No, I didn't.
As a
you
fact.
did. You said they were. No, you said they were combatants. Of course, you assume non-combatant unless you can prove it.
Yeah, the proof is that they were in possession of a piece of technology that was
used to
activate
soldiers. You have to prove they were combatants, not prove they weren't combatants.
Yes, the
You've
proof
got things
is
completely backwards.
Well, you said that they were living civilian lives, which is a positive claim, by the way.
Isn't this very telling though? That your philosophy on Lebanese, Arabs, Hezbollah is they have to prove their innocence.
No, I'm asking you. Are you Hezbollah? Are you Lebanese or Hezbollah? I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the way you approach the question of combatant versus non-combatant is that they have to prove they're non-combatants. They're living civilian lives. They're in civilian areas. But they have to prove they're non-combatants.
Well, I'm just wondering.
You don't have to provide proof that they're combatants, that they're in combat.
I just think even if someone in Hezbollah said that these guys were just reservists and were not part of operations, but it seems to be that they said that they had 1,500 fighters permanently taken out of action. Now the wording of that, taken out of action, where are you if you're taken out of action? It seems like they were. It seems like they were.
What do you mean? We've seen where the bombs were going. We've seen where the pages were going off.
Mm-hmm.
In civilian settings.
Well, we saw some of them in civilian settings. We don't know about all of them.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question. Okay.
But also we understand. Are you also aware? Do you also concede that unless there's been any contrary to this, I don't think to this day there's been any documented evidence of someone who wasn't holding a pager getting hospitalized or killed, right?
I don't know about that.
So it seems like the pagers were designed to hit the person who was holding them, because there were people literally like 2 feet away who were fine.
From what I understand, you had to like press a button on the pager, and so like family members, relatives, whoever would come and press a button on a pager, and then it would blow their face off.
Yeah, so that was the first assumption, but it seemed that well, you can take Massad's word or not, but they said that even if they don't press the button, it would go off anyway. So it would beep, and then it would go off.
So your kid goes, they grab the pager, they no longer have a face. Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. When it came to the doctors, the 99 doctors, they wrote open letter to Biden and Harris, and they said that they had worked in cumulatively, over.
Whoa! Your mic completely went. Your mic just went out of phase. How did that happen?
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
You're cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
What did you do?
No, I think a call was coming through.
Okay, you're back.
Okay, so the doctors, they signed. Hold on, sorry. Get a phone call. Let me just tell the person I can't pick up because
Sure.
I think it's interrupting my connection here. 1 second.
Not to worry.
Okay. So 99 doctors signed an open letter to Biden and Harris, and they said that each of them had observed a pattern where children were being shot, the head and chest, single gunshot wounds, sometimes multiple children a day, basically every day for over a year. And their opinion was that this consistency of shooting children like this, in this way, for that amount of time, must have been deliberate and must have been known to the highest Israeli authorities. And then they did a New York Times article, and they provided x-rays and photographs. Okay. When you were confronted with that, most recently you said 2 doctors made it up and there was no evidence.
No, that's not what I said. You liar.
There's a clip on my
yeah, I know there's
Twitter
account. Another 10-second clip on your Twitter account because you're a dishonest cunt.
No, not 10 seconds. That's what you said. You said
what did I say? The 2 doctors.
And they made it up.
Well, the 2 doctors said something specific, didn't they, about those guns, about those shots? What's the qualifier you're missing out?
If
you admit that you know, I'm just going to confirm you're a liar, by the way. But go on. What did I say specific to the 2 doctors?
No, firstly, you said your whole shtick was, first, if you want to go back to the beginning, your whole shtick was sniping is hard, accidents happen. Then later you do another video.
What did I say specific to the 2 doctors? I'm just going to keep asking you. Specific.
You said that they were lying and
about
that
what?
they had no evidence.
What did I say? What did I say they had no evidence for? That there were bullets and kids? Because that's what you're making it sound like. Just to be clear, I don't want you to misinform anyone. It sounds like you just said 99 doctors said lots of kids.
What did they lie about?
Shut the fuck up.
What did they lie about?
I'm still finishing.
No. What did they lie about? Go ahead.
I'm still finishing. Write down, okay? What did they lie about, okay? But I'm still saying, you just made it sound like 99 doctors said a bunch of kids, like several every day for 100 days, were shot in the head or chest, and that I said that was only 2 doctors who said that and it was fake. What did I say the 2 doctors said that
Yes,
was
you did. Maybe you forget. Maybe you forget. You saw my post.
What did I say? I didn't see your post.
No. You.
What did I say that I didn't see your post? What did I say that the 2 doctors said?
This was prior to that. No. This was prior to that.
What
you saw my
say?
post.
Okay, well, you probably
saw my post.
Uh-huh.
You saw my post, and you said it was 2 doctors and they made it up. They had no evidence.
Made up what?
That's what you said.
That kids were shot.
The whole story.
No, that's not what I said.
Post.
That's not what I said at all. No, that's not my. That's
okay,
never
so
been my opinion.
Go on. What are they lying about? Go on.
Do you actually not know? You're pretending not to know. What was specific to the 2 doctors? Oh, it's because you probably realized that if you admit that you know what specific claim I'm referring to, then it's kind of like exposing you as a dishonest cunt. Yeah, I know.
No, that's not true, because I made a whole video about how you said snipers, and then retroactively you said, actually I meant marksman, and then you said, actually, I use the words marksman and sniper interchangeably.
Which everyone does, which most lay people do. Yes, journalists use sniper and marksman.
Okay, so then why are you trying to make a whole? Then why are you trying to make a whole point about snipers? You said they're interchangeable.
Yeah, sniper or marksman, that can refer to the same. Yeah, for most people, this refers to this could be like the same term.
Okay, so what were the doctors lying about? Now tell us what the doctors were lying about. 99 doctors.
I didn't say 99 doctors lied about anything. I said that Mark Perlmutter and the one other person said that these were Israel sending snipers out to target Palestinian children. The only evidence I saw from Mark Perlmutter was him saying that it was high-velocity ammunition. High-velocity ammunition just means it came out of a rifle.
Firstly, you just said that sniper and marksman is interchangeable and people use them to mean the same thing.
Yeah, but snipers and marksmen have like similar ammunition.
Okay, so why would you call this guy a liar?
Mark
Perlmutter. It was fine for you to say, when the whole thing started, you said, I said sniper, but I meant marksman, and they're interchangeable. They're the same thing.
Yes, they are. Yes.
To criticize me for that.
Yes.
So what do you
when Mark Perlmutter says that it was snipers, whether he's referring to snipers or marksmen, neither of those are confirmed by anything he said.
What do you mean? If you read the article, then what you can see is that there were stories about toddlers being sniped.
I'm talking about Mark Perlmutter.
Toddlers being sniped.
I'm talking about Mark Perlmutter saying that Israel was sending snipers out to kill children, as in like they were sending them out. to kill children.
All these qualifications you
And he
added
said-
later. No.
And
no,
he
no, no.
said that
all
they were.
these ass covering qualifications you added later.
Okay, so if my
They said
opinion has
there was
evolved
a spotter,
over, if
there
my
was a
opinion,
spotter and a
yeah.
team and an order and this and that. No, he
If
was
my-
saying children are being shot
Mark
every day.
Perlmutter said they were sending snipers out. He said it was snipers. No? And I said his only evidence for that was what? That there was high velocity ammunition. And I think that's a really
So,
stupid
do
thing to
you-
say.
Do you want? Okay, maybe you think high velocity ammunition is stupid. I don't know the
What do you think that means?
details on what you think is stupid about high velocity ammunition. This is the point.
Does high velocity
You are
ammunition
the
means it came
one-
from a sniper?
No, listen. You are the
Does
one who
high
said
velocity
sniper and marksman
does
is
high velocity
interchangeable.
yeah?
You're
Does
the
high
one who
velocity
said-
ammunition
you're
mean
the
it came? Does
You
high
are
velocity
the
ammunition
one who
automatically
said-
mean it came from a marksman or sniper?
No. Listen. You are the one who said sniper and marksman is interchangeable. Okay?
Yeah, that's
Those are
not
your
relevant
words.
to high velocity ammunition.
In addition to that, you also dismissed the charge that the pattern of shooting children every single day, single gunshot wounds to the head and chest, okay, indicates for every day for over a year indicates that they're being deliberately targeted.
Can we go back to why? What does high velocity ammunition have
address
to do
this?
with? No, hang on.
Can we
first of
address
all-
this?
No, one thing at a time. You fucking worm. Come on.
No.
You're not acknowledging the thing about ammunition.
I already made a video about, and you used
Well,
the
if you
sniper.
had
It
a
was
video-
an incoherent sniper marksman discourse.
If you
to
had a
deflect
video,
from the
then you
important
should.
point,
If you had a
which
video,
was
then you should know, because this whole discourse emerged from me initially.
Yeah, I have a video about it,
Yes,
and it was
it all
incoherent.
emerged from me
You're-
initially contesting Mark Perlmutter's claim about them being snipers.
No, it didn't. No.
Yes, it did.
Wrong.
Yes, it did.
Okay, it all emerged from you watching a debate with Mehdi Hassan, and Mehdi
Yes,
Hassan talked
and it was about
sniping
snipers.
of toddlers.
Yes.
And you said, does he not know about snipers? Snipers are really difficult because people are moving around fast. And then later
Is
you
that
made
not true
another
about
video.
urban
You said,
warfare?
actually, later you made another video where you said, actually, I meant marksman, but I use those terms interchangeably.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Okay.
What's wrong with that? Everyone does that in mainstream
yeah,
press.
the
Yeah, of
pro-
course
the-
they do. What the
the
fuck?
pro-
What's wrong
yeah,
with that?
The problem
What's wrong with using my
problem
sniper
is
and marksman
number
interchangeably?
Number one. I didn't say
What's
there's something
wrong
wrong with it.
Okay, so do you
You're
acknowledge
the one
that?
saying there's something wrong with it. I'm
you
not. You're the one
acknowledge-
calling out the doctor, saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
do you
he
acknowledge
said
then?
sniper,
Do
and
you
he should have
acknowledge
said something
that-
else."
do you acknowledge
and I
that
don't know why.
marksmen-
I don't know why you're claiming he shouldn't have said sniper, but regardless,
Do you acknowledge that
you're the
marksmen
one who
do
tried
actually?
to use that sniper
Do you acknowledge
marksman
that
thing
marksmen do
to
actually make mistakes in urban warfare like quite easily? Do you acknowledge that?
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. And listen closely, okay? The point was, you were working overtime to deflect from the fact that these 99 doctors had claimed single gunshot wounds to the head and chest every day, sometimes multiple children for over a year.
First of all, working
that
overtime. This is a
pattern-
30-second. First of all, this is a 30-second clip that got taken and blasted when I didn't think of
wait,
anything of it.
but-
So now
no,
I'm
but you
working
did a follow-up
overtime.
video, and then you talked about it again, and then you talked about it again. The point
When
is,
did I
you
talk about
dismissed
the
fact that
99
that
doctors
pattern-
article?
That pattern indicates deliberate shooting of children.
Sorry, we can talk about the 99 doctors article if you want, but I'm not letting you just get away with like fucking lying about me saying
You're
it
the
was
one
two
trying
doctors.
to get away,
so,
and
okay,
you've
wait,
done
wait,
this.
no.
You did this from the start.
No, I'm not letting you get away with lying. When did I did not
Deliberate
say, I did not
shooting-
interchange the 99 doctors article with Mark
By the
Perlmutter.
way-
I didn't do that, did I?
Listen, this is going. Yeah, because you're responding to my post about 99 doctors. But anyways,
But I was
this is the thing.
referring to the claim from Mark Perlmutter.
You were responding to my post about 99 doctors. But anyways,
I don't
listen.
care what you've clipped, okay? You're a liar, okay? I'm just
What do
telling you
clipped? You
that
you
the thing,
responded to it. What do you want me to say?
the only thing I've said that was someone I thought was being dishonest, and this whole thing about doctors and snipers was Mark Perlmutter saying that it was high velocity ammunition. That's proof that they were sniped.
I want to make one point. This is going to
Do you
be
disagree
an
with that?
exceptionally boring. This is going to be an exceptionally boring debate because it goes nowhere. It's the same thing over and over and over again, and you.
I mean, you're just
everything
lying,
you
but that's
can
okay.
To avoid, you do everything you can to avoid the things that are actually interesting and worth talking about, which is why
Nothing
are
you say is interesting. You're a
dismissing-
fucing worm, but we
Why
can
are
carry
you
on.
dismissing? Let me say so. Let me ask something interesting then. Why are you dismissing that these doctors are saying children are being deliberately targeted on a daily basis, deliberately shot? That's what the pattern shows.
I don't know what this 99. I don't know what this 99 doctors article. I don't think I've even read it.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Or if I haven't remembered, why is it a problem?
Because the 99 doctors letter.
Well, I already acknowledged the New York Times article that did say also there was a pattern of people being shot.
Yes, but it's associated with the New York Times. When you were reading, yes, but when
so
you were reading the New York Times article, what you said was, there's nothing in here that says it was deliberate. There's nothing in this article that says it was deliberate. That's what you said.
I said it was about.
And it's in my video.
It said it was about them sending snipers.
There's nothing in here that says it was deliberate. Okay, but the 99 doctors article, letter, which was put out in conjunction with that article, explicitly states that they found it was the pattern of shooting head and chest every day, sometimes multiple kids for over a year, that had to be, in their opinion, professional opinion, that there was no way for that pattern to be that consistent for that long unless these children were being deliberately shot, and there was no way it was unknown to the highest Israeli authorities. The way you covered the story was as though it's bad apples, the higher-ups probably don't know, and that there's nothing in the article that says it's deliberate. So if you're telling me you didn't bother reading the article, you were just kind of talking out of your butt, and you were just casually dismissing war crimes and making excuses
this is what I was
Israel,
never held up for, just so you know. I was never held up for the 99 Doctors article. I never even said that anything in the New York Times article was wrong. So if you're saying they're connected, then apparently I haven't had an issue with this article. You don't know what my position is.
No, firstly, when you were responding to the post about the article, you made it about something else. You said 2 doctors. It was only 2 doctors, and they were bullshitting.
About snipers, you fucking liar. Why? How many times do I have to tell you?
When you were
Jesus Christ.
If you meant about snipers when you were responding to a post about the article, the letter of 99 doctors, that's a different story. It's kind of incoherent, but that's a different story.
It's not incoherent.
We can talk about your analysis of the New York Times article. You were lacking critical information, but you were speaking boldly and confidently. Okay, you were confidently saying
what, like when I say that the pagers targeted civilians, like when I said the pagers targeted civilians, even though no one on either side agrees. What? Yeah, okay, sure. I've never gone that far.
Non-combatants. Give me a break. Give me a break. You can listen to it in the Hutch debate, and you can hear me saying it to you. Okay. They're non-combatants. They have civilian protections. Don't go back there. Let's talk about the kids, okay?
Hezbollah admitted they were fighters, just so you know. Okay.
You're desperate to get off this subject.
No, we can talk about 99 doctors talking about they think that there's like there's a top. So do you think there's a top-down order for people on the ground to go and fucking shoot people in the head or chest?
How about this? How about this? Do you concede that it was irresponsible for you to claim? Oh, it wasn't.
No.
So you're gonna say that these doctors didn't say that it was deliberate, that they thought that their opinion was that the shooting of the children was deliberate.
The New York Times article I was talking about snipers, but let me find that.
In my video it goes over it, but anyway.
Yeah. So are you suggesting that I have never affirmed the idea that there might be like systematic war crimes taking place on the ground by the IDF?
No, that's a very broad statement. There might be systematic crimes going on the ground. No, I'm talking about, you said that the doctors never gave the opinion that these kids were being deliberately shot on a daily basis.
Well, the New York Times article was 65
doctors. It's irresponsible for you to say that. It's irresponsible for you to say that.
Because I'm referring to the New York Times article, 65 doctors.
Okay, so then you
talk about
lack
Oxfam.
knowledge. So then your coverage is lacking important information, and then you make argument because you were arguing against other people, calling them idiots, because you believed they were reading too much into this New York Times article by saying that the shooting of the children was deliberate, when those people that you were calling idiots and attacking actually had access to more information than you.
No, not really. These are the same fucking retards who believe that it was all fucking snipers.
You don't know anything about the article.
No, these are the same people. Wait, but these are the same people who still think that the story from Perlmutter about snipers is credible. It's not.
What do you mean these are the same? Why are you deflecting? We're talking about deliberate shooting of children.
Oh, okay. So apparently it's okay to be wrong about one thing but not the other. Okay, sure.
What other thing? I wasn't even listening to the other thing because I'm trying to keep on subject.
The people who said that
you told
the people who said that the Perlmutter story about snipers was credible and based on like some kind of like reasonable analysis, even though it wasn't.
Firstly, you're just claiming he's not credible.
Well, no.
Secondly,
what did he say then to prove there was snipers? Apart from high velocity ammunition.
He was a part of the team of doctors, and first, you're the one who said snipers and marksmen are the same. Secondly,
that has nothing to do with Perlmutter's claim. That has nothing to do with Perlmutter's claim.
He was part of the 99 doctors. He was part of the 99 doctors, and
oh well, you're about to undermine those 99 doctors by saying Perlmutter is one of them.
Wait,
then
instead of trying to pretend this is just about snipers, okay? You have to deal with the fact that you were the one saying these doctors never said that it was deliberate, and that there's no reason to believe that higher ups would have known about it. And you were making all these excuses.
Yeah, because I was responding. So okay. Listen,
shooting
John, you're really like
daily basis,
have to go through the. Whoa, huge echo, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so just as well I have a good memory. The reason I was talking about that was because Hassan kept on saying, when I was responding to him, that he was going by a New York Times article. He was like, you should read the New York Times article. This shows that it was deliberate, even though I said, if you look at this New York Times article, they're not saying anything about snipers going out there to deliberately find kids and kill them. That's not what they were asserting. So I was just going with what I was given by the fucking critics. So Hassan actually was wrong then about the New York Times article. Do you admit that? Because Hassan said the New York Times article proved that snipers were out there
no, that wasn't it. No. Firstly, there are accounts in the article about a toddler being sniped.
Yes, secondly, there's one, not about it being like the Israeli, not about it being the IDF ordering them to go and do it. You fucking idiot.
Lonerbox, listen. Secondly, you were the one.
Do you acknowledge that I brought up? Do you acknowledge that I brought up the one?
Yes, let me answer it
as well.
Let me answer it. You were the one who brought up the New York Times article in your response video. You were the one who said, "I know what he's going off of. It's this New York Times article."
Well, he said, "Read the New York Times article."
You brought up the New York Times article.
Really? So Hassan never said New York Times article.
Why are you suggesting that the doctors did not say it was deliberate? Okay, so you're telling me your excuse is that you didn't read the open letter from the 99 doctors and that you didn't know the full story.
Hang on, I'm just gonna get a clip here because I don't trust you. 1 second. New York Times.
This is in the video. You're responding
precisely
to
aim at the head of a child and pull the trigger hundreds of times.
I'm watching it.
Not that it would stop being a war.
No evidence for hundreds of kids being deliberately sniped. Nothing in the New York Times article saying as much either. Just so you know. My exact words are deliberately sniped. You're such a lying man. Holy shit. Or you're just sloppy. I don't know.
No, you were the one. No, your exact words were sniping and marksman is the same thing and they're interchangeable.
That doesn't contradict. That doesn't contradict anything I said. That doesn't contradict anything I said.
Deliberately sniped or deliberately shot with a different gun. That a marksman would have. You're saying it's interchangeable.
Do you think snipers and marksmen are the only two people who wield guns in Gaza? What the fuck? Is that why you keep saying that? I don't understand.
What are you talking about, Lonerbox? You're inventing arguments nobody is having.
I was wondering why you kept on saying that. Is that because you think that marksmen are the only people who wield weapons in Gaza?
No. You said sniping and marksman is the same thing.
Yes. It's interchangeable. They're not the same thing. Yes.
Yeah. I don't give a shit, sniping or marksman. I don't care. I'm the one who doesn't care.
But you said I was arguing that none of these doctors.
And then you went on a long rant about how Hassan or whoever is wrong for saying sniper, even though you were the one who said sniper initially, and you're the one who's saying sniper and marksman is interchangeable.
No evidence.
So I know it's convoluted because your response video made no goddamn sense, and that my whole response to you was about how incoherent your response was.
Do you disagree? Do you disagree? Do you disagree that I said there's no evidence for hundreds of kids being deliberately sniped? Nothing in the New York Times says as much. What's wrong with that sentence?
That there is evidence that children are being deliberately sniped or killed by a marksman.
When the claim is about what? When the claim is about a systematic pattern of them doing it, the New York Times mentions one instance.
Okay, so
I mentioned the one instance. What
you're telling
Mark Perlmutter said that they were sending snipers out to kill kids.
What you're telling me, and this is what my video was about. This was the premise of my video, okay? That you did not know the context. You did not read the letter from the 99 doctors, or you just forgot it. You just memory hold it. Okay? So you did not know the broader context.
Is it this one here?
You did not know the broader context that these 99 doctors said that children were being deliberately targeted on a daily basis. So your language was all about dismissing. It could be accidental. Who knows if the higher ups know about it?
This is the 99 Doctors article here, right?
I can't see the screen, but I assume you have it.
Yeah, I've seen this. This does ring a bell. Yeah, this rings a bell because it had the signatures in the bottom. And this is asserting what did I lack context on? That there were so many people who were shot in the head or chest that it must be deliberate and it must be top down, like orders, or just like allowed from the top down.
That it must be known to. There's no way it's unknown to the highest Israeli authorities.
Okay. Which part can I find that? Which part can I find that?
That is information. Wait, it's lower down. I don't, off the top of my head, know exactly where to scroll on the letter. But
well, we can find it. I'll give you a minute to find it because I want to see it just to be clear word for word. If that's
I don't have it on. I'm on my phone. I'm in my car. I don't have access to the article. You can find it. You can read it.
If I link it to you, you can't get it, or Control F for what? Deliberate.
And also if you deliberate, yeah. But if you can't find it in that letter, there may be more than one letter. So you
this
might
is
have
the
to
night. Well, this
pull up
is
a
the
different letter.
This is the 99 Doctors article, but yeah, it says
there may be more than one 99 doctor letter. But if you hit Control F deliberate, probably you'll find it.
Okay, so they have a quote here from Mark Perlmutter. Is this like his? Is this his part of the letter? Because it's got a
no.
So this is his quote, and then it goes to what's this? Why is it? Okay, line break. Okay, so they have his quote here, and then they have the 99. This is like the collective letter.
I don't know what you're looking at. In the letter, there may be more than one letter. They state that there is no way for that pattern of children being shot in single gunshot wounds, head and chest, every day, sometimes multiple children for over a year, that could be possible if they weren't being deliberately targeted.
Yeah, so this is, I'll just make sure this is the same paragraph. Yeah, so the same paragraph here, again, this is Mark Perlmutter's, there's quotes up there, then underneath it, it says, children are universally considered innocents in armed conflict. However, every single signatory to this letter saw children in Gaza who suffered violence that must have been deliberately directed at them. Specifically, every one of us who worked in an emergency intensive care or surgical settings treated preteen children who were shot in the head or chest on a regular or even a daily basis. It is impossible that such widespread shooting of young children throughout Gaza, sustained over the course of an entire year, is accidental or unknown to the highest Israeli civilian and military authorities. Biden and Harris, we wish you could see the nightmares, plague, etc., like that whole bit there, right? Is that the right bit?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that if you were responsible in your coverage, or at least if you were more knowledgeable and responsible.
Hang on, I'm just looking for another bit here, if you don't mind. You're about to say that if I was, you're probably not going to say anything you haven't said already, so don't worry.
If your
soldiers and
coverage was more responsible.
Let me watch something, please.
And also if you had more knowledge.
Let me watch something,
then
please.
you would not have.
Let me watch something, please. Have no civilians ever been killed out of malicious indifference? I didn't say that. No. Adam Panada knows that I've said that. Because that clip that he used of me is deceptively chopped. This is from just after the bit that he cut off. Have no civilians ever been killed out of malicious indifference? I didn't say that. No. Individual soldiers and commanders, maybe even high up people, can commit war crimes as well. I think that's probably, if you want to make a critique of Israel's actions right now, the fact that IDF soldiers don't really get punished all that much for violating rules in terms of killing Palestinians, that would mean that it's people who do have ill intent can get away with it. That's a big problem. I don't think that reflects their policy, but it does reflect an issue of accountability. Okay. It's so funny that this clip is what came from the initial clip chimp to make it seem like I was saying that there aren't systemic war crimes happening because of a lack of accountability in the IDF without any punishment from people in the top. It's almost as if it's almost as if I knew this all along and said it right away, and then the fucking psychos that you watch videos of chopped it out. But you've seen this video. I guess you just ignored this bit where it's so fucking
what are you talking
stupid,
about,
man? Jesus Christ.
No,
I can't remember I said it so bluntly. I literally said, if you want to make a critique of Israel's actions right now, is the fact that the IDF soldiers don't really get punished all that much for violating rules in terms of killing Palestinians. And that would mean it's people who do have ill intent can get away with it. That's a big problem. I don't think it necessarily reflects their policy, but it does reflect issues of accountability.
Yes. Yes, that's in my video.
But it being known, them knowing and not caring is not the same as policy.
So I didn't clip chimp you. No. Firstly, yeah, it's policy if you're not going to punish people for shooting kids in the head every day. That's policy. If you have a policy of not punishing people to do it.
Okay, then all negligence is policy. Okay.
No,
Sure,
policy
bro.
would be policy. Policy is a concept, right?
Really?
If you decide, yes, if you decide within your policy to hold people accountable, soldiers accountable for shooting kids in the head every day.
God, imagine
policy.
imagine
if you don't hold the soldiers accountable, that's a matter of policy.
Okay.
Anyways,
it's a lack of policy and a lack of enforcement.
You did not acknowledge the 99 doctors.
Do you think these
even though nothing
they said contradicted anything I had said months before this whole fucking video exchange happened? It didn't contradict anything. Like the policy discussion is literally okay. So do you think there's no value in separating, say, the military tells their soldiers from the top down, yes, I want our infantry soldiers on the ground to go out there and kill kids, versus there are enough people doing it on the ground and the people on the top don't care to punish the soldiers who are doing it, even though they know it's happening? You think these two are are both policy? You think it's okay to just lump these both in and to not separate them? To say one is policy.
I think they're both reflective of what I would call policy.
Okay, so I don't care what you would call policy. When people, so maybe you don't know this.
No, because now you're getting into semantics. Now you're getting into semantics.
Historians do these debates all the fucking time. They argue about like, oh, was the Holodomor a policy, or was it a result of policy, or was it like policy to starve them, or was it policy that incidentally starved them? Yeah, when they say policy in this situation, they talk about top-down government or military orders. That's what they talk about policy.
This is a semantic argument.
It's not a semantic argument. It's a meaningful argument.
The point is, the Israeli military is full of people talking about how they're going to go kill everyone in Gaza, kill Amalek, and a lot of them talk about openly killing children. And there is zero, talk about killing Amalek and killing children, and there is zero accountability for it. None. So I would call that policy. But you wouldn't. Okay, fine. So semantically,
because one.
What is the difference to the kids being shot every day?
Because one.
And why aren't you bringing up? Why aren't you bringing up the doctor saying that the sign is it's deliberate?
Because
it's deliberate. The pattern shows it's deliberate.
Because one. First of all, I have no idea how any doctor would be able to make that conclusion based on what they saw. Like,
you didn't. Apparently,
what
you
are you
didn't
talking
even remember
about?
the article.
Yeah, but now that I've read, I've literally just looked at it right now. This does ring a bell because this was also.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, hang on.
Maybe sometimes you should recognize that other people know things you don't.
Yeah, like people who believed Mark Perlmutter just saying that they were all fucking hit by fucking snipers, even because he just said high velocity ammunition.
You're casting down on this doctor who served in Gaza. He knows nothing. He treats kids who get shot in the head.
I didn't say he knows nothing. I said that he basically embellished his claim because you can see his Twitter. He's clearly politically motivated.
I definitely trust Lonerbox in his amateur analysis over the doctors who treat people who are shot in the head.
Do you think someone who goes to the press and says, "I know these were snipers because it's high velocity ammunition"? You don't think that's amateur?
You're the one who said.
Oh, so you're just appealing to authority because you know that his argument is indefensible. Yeah, fuck you, man.
No, because you're the one.
You know it's indefensible.
You're the one who said.
You know it's indefensible.
No, you're the one who said sniper, marksman, it's interchangeable.
That has nothing to do with what I just said. How are you not listening to this? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Listen.
How do you not know there's a difference there?
Being sniped. He may be informal in his language, which you didn't have an issue with.
High velocity ammunition.
You know, there's also reports that kids are being shot with drones.
What does high velocity ammunition?
With drones.
What does high velocity ammunition mean?
They're being sniped with drones.
Wait,
okay?
what does high velocity ammunition mean?
You're asking me?
Yes.
High velocity, it's self-evident. It's high velocity ammunition. It's a literal
Tell me something else about high velocity ammunition. That's not that it's high velocity ammunition.
I don't get what your question is. What does high velocity ammunition mean?
Yes.
Ammunition
what does it mean?
Moving at a high velocity. What is your question?
You don't know.
Or better yet,
you don't even know what it means.
Why
are you fighting me on this claim about Perlmutter when you don't even know what I'm referring to? Why? Why don't you just ask? Humble yourself.
You asked me,
has it not occurred to you that there's someone in this call who has information that you do not possess?
Yes, I objectively did, because you said you didn't know about the letter from the 99 doctors, which was very important. It was a critical part of this discussion. Anyway.
Even though it doesn't contradict anything I've said so far, but okay.
Yeah, that you were trying to downplay whether it was deliberate.
About sniping. And then you're going to say, oh, you said sniping and marksman's interchangeable.
Yes, exactly. Nobody was having an argument about sniping. It's about the deliberate shooting of children.
Yeah, but do you think...
Okay, so
now... Do you think a sniper and a marksman is the only...
Wait.
Honestly, oh God, I think I'm actually in a fucking fever dream.
Going in circles another time,
I'm in a fucking fever dream right now.
Productive.
No, this is not productive. You're having a fucking fever dream. I don't know how you're not getting this. When I say sniping, yes, I'm saying sniping and marksman interchangeably.
Let's accomplish something.
I'm saying it interchangeably.
Let's accomplish something productive here. From now on, when you talk about kids being shot in Gaza, will you acknowledge that the consensus view from the doctors who serve in Gaza is that they are being deliberately shot?
What, for all of them? No.
Generally.
This is why I wrote this off. This is the same doctor toll that used the fucking Lancet report conjecture to say that it's likely the death toll went to 118,908.
We're not talking about the death toll.
Fucking
we're talking
horseshit.
About the pattern.
This is absolute horseshit, this article. Yeah, this is
99 doctors serving in Gaza every day, and they provided x-rays and photographs. So now you're doubling down. Now
how many x-rays and photographs did they provide?
I don't know the number.
Can you give it a ballpark?
No, I don't want to give it a fucking ballpark. They were there serving in Gaza.
I think I saw a handful in the New York Times.
They were treating the kids. Why are you casting doubt on this? Do you not realize?
I'm not casting doubt on people being shot. What I'm casting doubt on, I think it's a reasonable doubt. It's for doctors.
You're casting doubt that it was every. They're lying that it was every children were being shot every day.
When did I say they were lying about every day? You didn't let me finish my sentence.
About? Why are you so eager to call them liars?
When did I say they were lying?
You just said it was bullshit.
You can make a false assumption and not be lying. I'm not ascribing ill intent to them.
So you're making the right assumptions. You're not there. You have no experience serving as a doctor in a war zone. You're making all the right assumptions. The doctors who are seeing kids come in, gunshot wounds to the head and chest every single day for over a year, sometimes multiple kids. Okay, and they're saying this is highly unusual.
My position is
this is highly unusual.
Yeah, lots of things about fighting Hamas according to their strategy is unusual. Yes, do you deny that?
No.
No? Hamas don't fight in a unique way?
Come on. No. I'm saying they said their opinion as doctors, which you're baselessly casting doubt on, and I don't understand why.
Why don't you let me tell you why? Why didn't you let me tell you why?
Because you have a knee-jerk response.
Why don't you let me tell you why? Why didn't you let me tell you why?
That's the bottom line.
Why don't you let me tell you why?
You have a knee-jerk response to whitewash Israel.
Yeah, great. Obviously I know your opinion. Why don't you just ask me why? Like, I don't know. I can tell you why.
Okay, give your defense.
Yeah, because a doctor sees someone who has a bullet wound in them. I don't know why you think a doctor in that situation can be able to determine, because of what they've seen on the hospital table, what was happening in the battlefield. I don't know how a doctor is supposed to tell when they see a kid with a bullet in their head whether that gunshot came as a result of an intentional execution, or if it came because of reckless fire, or if it became as an accident, because literally, like in Gaza, you've got bullets flying through walls all the time. I don't know how a doctor is supposed to determine if that gunshot came from a Hamas rifle, because Hamas are also fucking spraying and praying in Gaza. They film themselves doing it. So do you acknowledge that a doctor can't see that and just determine for a fact, like, the intent of the person who fired the shot, or the circumstance in which the shot was fired, or anything like that? Do you acknowledge that?
Okay. So I'm going to address this. Do not try to deflect. Do not try to back out of this, okay? You said they can't tell if Hamas is spraying and praying, shooting everywhere, right? They can't tell that, right? When you spray and pray, when you shoot everywhere, would that result in a consistent pattern every single day of single gunshot wounds to the head and chest?
If you look at
being hit by random spray everywhere, spray and pray,
so
would
maybe
the pattern that results from that be single gunshot wounds to the head and chest on a daily basis?
Maybe you haven't paid attention to what people like Perlmutter and these people were saying. Sometimes he said head and chest. Sometimes he said like in the chest and the arm, or in the chest and the leg, or sometimes he said there were 3 shots. Mark Perlmutter actually gave a big range of different circumstances, which actually does suggest that people might be shooting someone and a bullet might go through a wall, or someone might be running past a window and someone who's like covering can misidentify.
Give me a break. That's not what the letter said. That's not what the letter said.
I'm telling you what one of the doctors gave. I'm telling you what one of the doctors said.
So all 99 doctors lied. You're not just calling Mark Perlman a liar. They're all full of shit. 99. When 99 doctors say they're seeing single gunshot wounds to the head and chest on a daily basis, they're lying. They're bullshitting.
I'm not saying they're lying or bullshitting. Again, even for the head and chest, usually if you get hit by a bullet once, you fall to the ground. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about the pattern is the kids keep coming in with single gunshot wounds to the head and chest. That does not indicate spraying and praying, spraying all over the place.
How do you...
That's the point. That's
sorry,
why they say
how do you know it?
Deliberate killing.
How do you know it wouldn't? Because again, if people are firing through walls and
then
things
you
like
can
that,
get hit anywhere. When somebody's spraying everywhere, you can get hit anywhere.
you know, like
Why would you keep seeing kids with single gunshot wounds to the head and chest?
Again, that's not what Perlmutter said, and it seems like this is being derived from Perlmutter's testimony.
Why
That's why his
keep
quote is there.
From the 99 doctors, you are calling all
The 99 doctors signed.
bullshitters and
The 99
liars.
doctors signed a letter together. That doesn't mean that everyone is like fucking testifying to every
so
single
they're
claim.
idiots. The doctors are dumbasses. They served in Gaza all that time. Bunch of fucking morons. Lonerbox has no expertise. Didn't serve in Gaza. Has no idea what he's talking about. But trust him, he knows better.
Yeah, again,
Baseless assumptions, writing off all these doctors, calling them bullshitters. Oh, maybe it was just spraying and praying, and
the problem is, I said it's one explanation, one potential explanation. Again,
that's
you're
not a
not
potential
acknowledging
explanation for single gunshot wounds to the head and chest on a daily basis.
it can be not. Again,
why are you bending over backwards?
We don't know.
To
Again, we
defend
don't
this?
know.
Why are you
again,
bending
we
over
don't know
backwards
numbers.
to call these doctors liars?
It's not even bending over
How
backwards.
is that not unhinged?
The thing that's weird about you is that you can't even admit.
Unless your chat, tell me. Unless your chat is ideologically committed to the idea that either one, everything you say is right, or two,
just to be clear, you actually just to be clear. There's only just to be clear.
Then they should be able to
just
recognize.
To be clear, there's only one person.
They should be able to recognize that you are bending over backwards.
I don't care about your moralizing rants. Don't do the moralizing rants. Just talk about the issues.
It's not moralizing. It's
it is moralizing. It's a fucking spurg out. Okay.
Over backwards to deny the opinion of these 99 doctors who served in Gaza.
You can't even acknowledge that one of these doctors said something that
whatsoever.
You can't even acknowledge
incoherent.
that you can't even acknowledge that one doctor said something that doesn't make sense. Why the fuck would I take your why would what? You can't even acknowledge that one doctor said something.
That's your opinion that one doctor you're trying to scapegoat one doctor with your amateur opinion.
Even though the paragraph that
his opinion counts like a scientific paper, or you take issue with his wording or something. I'm talking about the 99 doctors who you just said were liars and bullshitting.
I didn't say they were liars.
You just made an attempt. You can't back out now because you made an attempt right now to say it was bullshit and that they couldn't have observed a pattern of deliberate shooting.
What they said about saying that the death toll at that point was 108,000, that is bullshit, though.
Okay. Why are you deflecting from the...
Oh, wait, because you don't want to say that they weren't bullshitting on the death toll in October 2024. Why not?
No, they were quoting somebody else's conclusion in a paper. That wasn't their conclusion.
Why would they share it? Why would they share it? They're fucking doctors.
It's an open letter. It's an open letter. Why? Okay, you're angry
so they are allowed to be. So they are allowed to bullshit a little bit.
You're angry at them. It shows where you stand. You're angry at them for acknowledging that in all likelihood the total death toll is likely much larger than the official death toll.
That's not what they say. Wait, why are you now? You're twisting their words. They gave a precise number.
I'm saying that was the purpose of quoting the Lancet study, but it has nothing to do with their opinion. Their opinion based on what they observed, what they signed their name to. They signed their name to a letter saying that every one of them witnessed children coming in on a daily basis with single gunshot wounds. It's just so funny that
you can't own this. You can't own this. They said it is likely that the death toll is already greater than 118,908.
Why are you trying to deflect, Lonerbox?
It's not a deflection.
Why are you trying to deflect?
It's the same letter because you acknowledge that if you fall on this one,
it's the same letter. That is them
the doctors have spread bullshit as well. You do.
If they are,
you're acknowledging the doctors have spread. You're acknowledging that this letter contains bullshit in it. It does.
No, I don't consider it bullshit. You have a difference of opinion. You're not an expert. You have no idea what you're talking about.
You're not an expert either.
I don't care.
Sorry.
Look how you're desperately trying to run away from what you did just a second ago, which was to claim that there's no way for them to know if there's a pattern of deliberate shooting. You said, how would they know the IDF aren't just spraying and praying all over the place?
Or firing blind. It doesn't have to be spray and play. Why are you always taking... I list like...
They're firing blind and they keep hitting single gunshot wounds to the head. single gunshot wounds to the head, but they're like closing their eyes and firing all over.
Again, I don't know if you've realized, but quite a lot of people are dying right now in Gaza, okay? So some of them, yes, it seems to be like a good number of them would have had shots to the head and chest, but that doesn't discount the fact that there are doctors in this letter who I've read in separate statements who have also said that there are people with shots in the chest and in the arm, or someone shot in the arm, or someone with a shot in the leg, or someone with a shot in the head and in the... It's not a deflection.
This is a deflection.
It's additional
the
information.
The 99 doctors
you are
put
so
out
fucking
was
dishonest.
That
Oh my
frequency
god.
with which children are coming.
Disinformation
Why are you calling
tracker.
these doctors liars? Why are you calling these doctors liars?
Liars? I just said that some of their
yes,
claims
you
are
are.
bullshit.
The statement they signed, 99 doctors, was that they all observed, every one of them observed, children coming into the hospital on a daily basis with single gunshot wounds to the head and chest. And
yeah, and they also said the death toll is likely over 118,000.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Fine. Okay. So we'll leave that there. You're calling the doctors liars. Fine. They're bullshitters. They're liars. They don't know what they're talking about. You do, with your zero expertise, zero knowledge, zero background.
It seems that you disagree with them as well, though. But it seems you disagree with them as well. You disagree with them on at least some of their claims.
Okay, let's talk about this. When you talk about Shifa,
why do you disagree?
Shifa,
why do you disagree with them? Why do you disagree with the doctors on the 118,000? But you can't admit it. I know you disagree with them.
I didn't say I disagree with them. I'm just not allowing you to deflect.
So you think the death toll?
I'm just not allowing you to deflect to an argument about the Lancet article.
So you think
I'm just not allowing you to deflect to a debate about the Lancet article.
That number's not from the Lancet article. Maybe you feel good about
debating the Lancet article.
That number wasn't.
What?
Was that number from? Oh, that was a lower estimate of the Lancet article. Oh, because they would have misread the Lancet article if they assumed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. So wait, do you agree with that or not? Do you think they were correct do you think they were right to say that or not? That there was likely the death toll was 118,000 plus in October 2024.
Listen, I am drawing a line in the. I am drawing a line in the sand. I am drawing a line in the sand.
I'm not letting you weasel out of this
question. I
question.
do not want to debate you on the Lancet article as a
deflection. It's not the Lancet article.
From the fact that you
it's
just
the 99
dismissed
doctors
what
article.
They said about children being shot in the head on a daily basis.
We're arguing about the Lancet article that you think is your appeal to authority, that if you say are bullshitters, then you're disgusting the Israel defenders. So I'm asking you again, because I'm not going to stop asking you this, you fucking worm. Do you agree with them?
I'm clearly being the worm here.
Yes,
you're
because
not
you're the one who can't answer questions. Because you're the one who can't answer questions.
Calling these doctors liars. Wait. You want to call these doctors liars and bullshitters in order to defend Israel from charges of daily shooting of children, but at the same time you want to have your cake and eat it too. Every time I say so they're liars and bullshitters, you say no, they're not liars, but they have no idea what they're talking about apparently.
I just said that the conclusions of this article. I just said the contents of this article are unreliable. I just said the contents of this article are not like gospel. It's not an unreasonable thing to say. It seems you believe that too. Now, do you think that they were right to say that 118,000 people had likely died, or it was likely more than that in October 2024?
I am not debating. I am not debating.
You can't commit to it because you realize that you disagree with the article as well.
No, I don't. I didn't say I disagree with it. I said
if
I'm
you
not
agreed with them, you would say
a debate about death toll estimates. Do you understand? If I do that with you, we're going to be going back and forth.
Do you have an opinion on it or no?
Getting nowhere for God knows how long.
So you're just hiding your opinion. I'm just asking you your opinion.
And the point was about wait. The point of the letter was about what they personally observed. They personally treated children on a daily basis. With
this
their
letter
own 2 eyes,
and the appendix show
probative
evidence that the human toll in Gaza since October 7th is far higher.
Your attempt to deflect from that fact, your attempt to deflect from their own personal observations by debating what a good death toll estimate is not something I'm going to get into.
No, because your response to me saying I have doubts about the conclusions they're drawing from what they saw with the with the kids who were shot.
Yeah, so stick to the subject. Stick to the subject.
I am sticking to the subject.
Your answer is ad hominem?
I'm sticking to the subject because your
so you're saying they're not credible.
Your response to me saying
they're liars. They're liars. They're bullshitters.
Your response to me saying that is, oh, so you disagree with the doctor? So I'm saying, well, it seems you do as well, because I'm going to ask you again.
No, I never said I disagree with them. What are you doing?
Do you think they were correct then?
I'm saying I don't want to debate death toll estimates. I don't want to debate death toll estimates.
Because you're a coward. You're a fucking worm, dude.
What I do want to talk to you about is Shifa.
Because you're a worm. Answer the question. I'm not letting you get away with dodging that question. Sorry.
What do you mean answer the question? I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to render an opinion on what the likely death toll estimate is. I have no expertise in judging, estimating death toll.
So why don't you defer to the doctors then and just say you agree with them? Because these are 99 doctors who you consider an authority. Why don't you just agree with them? Just say you think they were right.
Okay, so
You agree with them, right?
Okay, wait. So if I say I agree with them, what's your next step? You want to debate the death toll estimate?
I just want a yes or no answer.
And what do you want to do next? Because I don't want to debate the death toll estimate. I'm not interested in that.
Why not?
Because I have no expert opinion to, and I also don't
just want you to commit to a position.
I think it's a very subjective conversation.
It's not subjective.
For us
it's literally, they gave an
non-experts
exact number.
working on extremely limited information to argue about whose estimate of likely death tolls is better.
You make conclusions based on fuck all information all the time, by the way.
When you're estimating likely death tolls, you look at other wars, other conflicts. You try to find an average or a precedent, and you make an estimate. Personally, I do not believe it's possible to get a great amount of accuracy in estimates of death tolls. Okay.
So they gave a bare minimum of 118,906 in October 2024. Okay. Do you agree with them or do you disagree with them?
I have no expertise on that subject to render. Like, I'm here. I know all about estimating death tolls, and I say the doctors are wrong.
Do you have expertise on ballistics?
Do you understand? It's okay to say you don't know what the best estimate is theoretically.
Oh, so you disagree? So you piece of shit! You genocidaire! You're literally doubting that you won't even commit to agreeing with the 99 doctors and their professional opinion?
I never said I doubted them.
Oh, so you agree with them?
I'm not going to offer.
If you don't doubt them, then you agree with them.
I'm not going to offer up my opinion. I'm not going to offer up my opinion as if my opinion on that matter, estimating death tolls, is of great value and should be broadcast to the world.
So if you don't doubt them, then you should probably agree with them, right? You agree with them blindly.
What about humility? Okay.
What about humility? You don't actually. But you said you don't even. What why do you trust their opinion on the intent of the people who fired the shots then on the kids?
What they saw with their own two eyes, what they saw with their own 2 eyes on a daily basis. Why do I trust them?
These are. I'm asked. Did they see the soldiers intentionally firing at people? Or did they see the government knowing about it and signing off on it?
They described what they saw. They said.
Yes. Okay. So it's not about what we're not talking about what they saw.
On a daily basis,
we're talking about what they extrapolated.
The pattern they observed was single gunshot wounds to head and chest over and over and over and over again for over a year. And they said for that to be the pattern, it's not indicative of spray and pray, blind fire, shooting all over the place. It's indicative of children being deliberately shot.
Yeah, so you agree with their interpretation of what they saw, right? You agree with their analysis.
Yes, I trust them.
Yes, you trust them. Why? And do you trust them when they say that the death toll was likely higher than 118,000 in October 2024?
Do I agree? Okay, personally, I think yes, it was likely higher. Am I the expert? Because you can say, "Oh, what the fuck do you know?"
Thank you.
All I can say,
so you think the death toll?
What the fuck do I know about? What the fuck do I know about? What the best estimate of the death toll is?
So in October,
it's not my area of expertise, and the information available is limited.
So in October 2024,
Unlike the information of your own 2 eyes and your experience on the ground treating children on a daily basis.
So in October, again, these are doctors.
Those are 2 very different things.
No, but these are doctors offering a professional opinion. But again, so now you're saying
yes,
so you do trust them. You do think the death toll was likely higher than 118,000 in October 2024. That's what you think?
Okay, it's a guess. I don't know. It's a guess.
Okay. I'm just going to talk for like 1 minute about this, and then we can talk about whatever you want. Okay?
Fine.
Right. The interesting thing about this claim is that it's the lower estimate, I believe, from the Lancet article, and it seems that these 99 professionals collectively misunderstood the article that they were citing, because the article didn't say, based on estimates of previous wars, the death toll is already greater at this given time of 118,908. What that article was saying was that if we look at previous conflicts, and they went from previous conflicts that included like Kosovo or to like Uganda or like other African conflicts in the 80s or like Congo or Iraq, and then they said that based on estimates of, if you take the total direct deaths from war and then the estimated number of indirect deaths from all these different wars, somewhere where there were like famines like Sudan and somewhere there was like barely any indirect deaths like Kosovo, and they took an average and said that, well, it seems that in a bunch of wars that we've chosen to analyze from the last like 40 years, we're going to say that it seems that for every one person that dies directly due to the conflict, then you'll have about 4 indirect deaths, either from like maybe civil conflict that happens later, or from disease or starvation or anything like that, right? So it was an estimate of what could happen, indirect deaths in the future. It was a speculation based on a very strange method of interpretation, which even like the people in the Lancet had like issues with, and even the author had to clarify to a lot of journalists who were misusing this. But it seems that these doctors, these professionals, read that Lancet article and actually drew a conclusion from it that was not what the Lancet article was saying. So it's interesting, like, again, and for you to again think that this is like trustworthy. Both of these cases are kind of suggesting that whoever is saying this, you and the people, whoever wrote this paper, are probably not reliable, because they seem to be making very foolish mistakes on dealing with this Lancet article and estimating the death toll.
Okay, so they don't know if kids are coming in with gunshot wounds.
I didn't deny that. I didn't deny that. I'm talking about their interpretation.
Okay, so what is it?
The thing that they didn't see.
What's your issue? Because all you did was deflect.
It's
this
not
is
deflecting.
a total fallacy.
It's not deflecting.
Yes, okay,
I didn't
you're
disagree with what they saw.
authority.
I didn't disagree with what they saw. I said I don't know, like you saying, I don't know how they would draw that conclusion that it must have been
because kids are
deliberate and it must have been signed off on like from the top down. I don't think you can extrapolate that from high numbers of people.
Think it was
Again, why don't they? Because we know that from other doctors that it's not just head and chest. It's also people with 2 shots in random places, and because of that, because there's also people with like 2 shots or 3 shots, and it's not always in the same place. That might lead one towards a conclusion that maybe some people are being targeted deliberately by the IDF. I've never disagreed with that. Maybe some snipers are deliberately taking shots at fucking 4-year-olds.
That's an easy statement to get behind.
It seems very likely. I'm not finished. Also, it's more likely that if it's somewhere like people who are operating under Yehuda Vash in the, the Netzarim corridor, well, then those people are by orders deliberately just shooting anyone who comes into the corridor without giving even any warning. So that's like a division commander who's in charge of like tens of thousands of soldiers, just telling them to do that. I've never denied that either. It could also be that Hamas are shooting through walls and shooting people.
Yeah,
it could also be
Hamas
are
shooting the kids.
Do you not think Hamas is capable of friendly fire? Of course they are.
Yeah,
Don't even fucking suggest that.
Goes around
of course
and they shoot all the kids.
Of course Hamas are capable of friendly fire.
Hamas goes around and they shoot all the Palestinian
I'm
kids.
saying that's
not what I said. The IDF.
I love it that
the soldiers posting to social media.
I just said 2 examples of it being IDF soldiers, you fucking retard. God, you are so dishonest. How can you hear me listing IDF recklessness? How can you it's not a gish gallop, it's a list of potential reasons for someone getting shot.
No, you've been talking for a long time.
It's a list. I literally listed 2 things. I listed 2 cases. I listed 2 things. One was 2 of them were IDF. One was IDF criminals. One was IDF criminals under orders from division commanders. And then I said. Then I also said some of them would have been Hamas as well in friendly fire. And he said, oh, Hamas killed all the kids. What a dishonest... Holy shit. Fuck that.